All right, hello. Welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging. We are back today playing a little game called Huckleberry. And we are fortunate enough to have the brilliant, and dare I say it, attractive designer here with us to kind of shepherd us through, make sure that we're doing it correctly. And then when we're not, send us very passive-aggressive messages on Discord throughout the week explaining how we're embarrassing him and various other things.
It was only like 10, maybe 15 messages. Okay, like let's not overreact.
Okay. It is pretty ridiculous. Like I had to eventually just like log off Discord because if I didn't, it's just probably slow.
I thought you blocked me. I just kept messaging.
It's true. I should. Hang on. Let me do that really fast. All right. I just blocked Steven. Okay. We're good to go. Yeah, we're back. We're continuing our Divine Comedy run, which is one of the, I think, is it the adventure that's going to be coming out? Like the first adventure?
Yes, this will be what's paired with the book.
Perfect. So we're doing it. We're doing it here. We're in our second episode. Probably going to take 3. I think that's what we're sort of estimating, but we'll play it by ear. We'll see how it goes. But before we get all into that, we're going to give Steven a second if he wants to do any sort of plugs and stuff, and then announce some fun little thing we're going to be doing later on today during the stream. So, Steven, floor is yours. Quit yelling at me.
Huckleberry, Weird West, action horror. If you like Hellboy, Tombstone, anything like that, you're going to love Huckleberry. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate it. It is published by a little label called Adventures in Lollygagging. I got the logo there on it, which you might see it also right underneath here because that's what we're streaming on, because Adventures in Lollygagging is amazing. And we will be doing giveaways. So we've got a handful of physical copies left. These were printed exclusively for Gen Con. I've got just a couple that will be given away on stream tonight and next week. So hang out and chat. You will see the keyword pop up and join in and test your luck to see if you get these very exclusive copies. If you hold on to them for 10, 20 years, they'll be worth as much as a Beanie Baby. So like this is an investment opportunity. You really should hang around for it. If you're watching this on like YouTube or something like that and you missed the live stream, we will also be giving away digital copies on the Discord server. So join the Adventures in Lollygagging Discord and you'll have an opportunity to win there. I think that's about all I have. I'm excited to see how the story unfolds tonight.
Discord server. You actually said the second word. That felt weird. It felt weird.
It doesn't feel right, does it?
It didn't feel right.
Too proper.
It felt very
sign
boomer,
Discord.
You know?
I was going to make the same joke, Melissa.
Yeah. Pound sign. Are they the hard copy or are they I forgot to ask. Are they the hard copy?
We will be giving away the soft cover copies. The hardcover copies are even more limited and only go to people who actually worked on the book. So you'll see Melissa has a soft cover and Jeff has a hardcover. True. My tray will also be getting a hardcover in the mail as soon as the extra copies come in.
Yep. But not the people over there or down there. And hey, just really quick, who's wearing the Huckleberry shirt today? Let's just go ahead, just do a quick little.
Let's see who my friends are.
Okay,
who are my friends? Do I not have that many friends?
Oh goodness. There you go. Okay. If that's it, so pay attention to the chat. We'll remind you if you're just the type of person who watches the stream and just kind of kicks back and does pay attention to the chat. We'll give you like a verbal cue whenever Steven's going to run the giveaway in the chat, so you can pop into chat really fast, get yourself entered, and that kind of such. But otherwise, we're going to say goodbye to Steven for a little bit. We might bring him back later if necessary. But otherwise, bye, Steven.
Bye, Steven.
Bye.
What was that? Oh my God. Okay. All right. There we are. And now we have that awesome art. So, which is honestly an improvement over what was previously there, right? I can say that because he can't hear me. When I take him away, he also can't. That's how Zoom works, right? Okay. Quick recap of last episode, and we're going to dive right in. Because we ended on a fun little moment and we get to explore one of the new mechanics. We're going to try to take it a little bit slow. And try to make sure we explain some of the mechanics that we're doing. So if you're brand new to Huckleberry, you can kind of learn it as we learn it. So episode 1, the Mavericks, which is our heroes we see here, they took a job escorting a man by the name of Kaz Thamer to King City. Thamer is the son of a wealthy industrialist and an executive within the Schuyler Company, which is like an iron factory kind of company. And the company bought tickets for both Thamer and his bodyguards / servants, which are you all. And you all in the steamboat named the Divine Comedy. And the journey is going to last about 5 days. And you're all going up the Huckleberry River. And we spent basically the first day of the voyage getting settled, meeting everybody, various travelers, different crew, etc. There's still a lot of people we haven't met. But we met pretty much everybody. Well, not everybody. We met about half the people, I would say, half the travelers or so. But Dora Vix, who Ashley is playing, took a liking to a fellow woman of height, Maybelle Horn. Petra, who Melissa was playing, drew the attention of the stocky and gregarious D. Dillard Dubs, who compared your swimming ability to that of a mermaid. Lena, you just were trying to steal stuff, and eventually you did. You pickpocketed a knife from a very skittish and unkempt traveler while up on the promenade. And then Lullaby, played by Long. Well, he used his one scenario ability to call upon the spirits to verify that Cass Thamer was in fact in danger. The very reason you were hired for this trip, by the way. And the second question, that dinner tonight was going to include potatoes, which answers to both those questions were yes. Captain Carrington and his begrudging first mate, Sim Swenson, they kind of hosted a dinner that evening. Petra, you invaded the kitchen. You insisted to the cook that you have to taste all of Cass's meals because there might be poison in them. Lena, you chatted with Sybil Wilde and Richard Lewin Gallen. You got a tarot reading from Sybil, and you kind of were spying and eyeing up the revolver that Richard was carrying. After dinner, everyone kind of shifted to the theater. I think, Dora, you spent a little time briefly in the hall with maybe Abner, like the old man with the shaky hands. And then Molly Cordes started singing in the theater to just sort of give everybody a good night. And then with that, everyone retired to the cabins. Late in the morning, after this buffet breakfast that we sort of montaged through, all of you joined Cass Thamer on the promenade up on deck 4 for some fresh air. Of course, it wasn't very fresh. So there was a lot of weird smoke. There's a lot of smoke and stuff from the smokestacks. And also, you notice on the shore, there were these dozens and dozens of crows that were cawing wildly on the branches of this leafless tree. And then all at once, they lifted up into the sky. They swirled around the Divine Comedy and that smoke, that acrid smoke from the stacks, like a tornado. And then they just started dive bombing to the deck, taking out travelers and such. So we're picking up right there. Let's get a little music going. So we're going to do a new mechanic. We didn't get to do it last time around. We're going to ante up for the first time. So ante up is sort of basically what it means is I'm going to be drawing some cards, and it randomly determines certain effects and things that are going to happen to each one of you. All of you are up here because, I said so. So all of you are up here on the promenade. All of you can see these crows that are swarming about within this foggy smoke and slamming down. People are screaming left and right. You see some recognizable faces. Maybelle's up here with her giant, tall head just sticking out above the crowd. You can see your dear and gregarious friend Dubs is sort of trying to hide behind a few others, and everyone's just kind of running for a staircase down. So the way ante-up is going to work, I'm going to draw a card for everybody. The card's going to have a suit. That suit's going to determine basically a save you have to make. And then if you fail, there is an effect. If there's a face card, there is even a worse effect. And if there's a joker, some cool stuff can happen as well, too. So we'll dive into the joker stuff if and when it happens, or an ace. Okay? You all ready?
Let's give it a whirl.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So we see smoke swirling around. We see the fog. It's nasty. It smells up here. We see the birds dive bombing down. We see some folks are getting hit. You look over, you can see Cass Thamer's already got a couple blossoming tiny scratches on his face or on his hand. And as you all are in this throng of panic, let's start drawing them. I'm just gonna go by the overlay. I'm gonna start with Dora. So let's go ahead and use these little macros Steven set up for us. First one is a spade. 6 of spades for Dora. So Dora, you're going to help me play this out. So this means you got to roll a quick. So it's a quick save. So an attribute save means you take your attribute die and you take your weird die and you roll them together.
Okay,
So no
so
skill.
my attribute is a D10 and my weird die right now is a D10.
Okay, so roll 2d10. You need to hit a 10. And that's where we're at. You don't get any aces or anything on this one. You don't get aces from the roll, I should say.
Okay, combined total is 11.
Okay, so basically, so the way so you help me out with this. So essentially, you're up here. Maybe you're moving a little bit towards Maybell to have a conversation when everything starts happening, and the crowd starts surging towards you, and you can see a couple of people bump into you. Maybe a crew member, maybe one of the passengers you haven't met yet, and they're all trying to get to this staircase to flee down into the lower decks. How would you say? Just describe to me. How do you dodge getting caught up in that stampede of people?
So Dora is a tall woman. So nearby, there's this sort of banner hanging, and it's hung by a rope. And so she just kind of reaches up and grabs that rope and uses it to swing herself forward to get out of this mass of people. Perhaps she might knock a person down, but she needs to get in there.
So we see this decorative banner, maybe that no one had taken down from when they were back in port. You swing, you reach up, you grab it, you swing over top of a couple, and you land maybe a handful of steps away from Maybelline. Okay, next up, let's keep doing this. It's gonna be this one's Lullaby. Lullaby, you got a 6 of diamonds. Okay, so diamonds, you need to do Reckon. So Lullaby, maybe it's just something from the spirits that were in the back of your mind, but you're looking around all this chaos. You're seeing this swirling acrid smoke and fog above you. You're seeing the birds occasionally just appear out of nowhere. Some of them are splattering against the deck. Some of them are stabbing with their beaks into bullets almost into some of the passengers up here. There's something about this, there's a pattern that might be forming. So give us a Reckon with your weird die.
Okay, I have a D8 Reckon.
Okay, what's your weird?
Should be 10 at default.
Okay, give it a rip.
I've got physical die. Something I do much.
Okay.
Without a 5.
Okay, now we see why you don't. Okay, so basically what this means is as you're standing there, so you kind of help me out with how this looks. As you're trying to devise a pattern, something's going to happen that's going to give you a minor injury. Okay, so in Huckleberry, there's 3 tiers of injury: minor, moderate, and major. And whenever you get a minor injury, you kind of fill it in, and you get to flavor exactly what it is. So flavor it however you want. Use it as a roleplay prompt. And then once you start filling up all of your injuries, or if you take an injury where you no longer have that tier, it escalates. So if he had 3 minor injuries already and he was meant to take another, he would be instead taking the next higher up, etc., etc. But this is your first because we're just starting. So what do you think happens to Lullaby as he's trying to sort out this pattern? How does he get hurt?
I'm mesmerized by the sequence of events that's happening. The spirits are trying to speak to me. So I get locked into trance.
Okay. So as you're looking and you're watching and you're seeing people, you're like a stone in the middle of a river as you see a handful of people just diverge to either side of you. You hear the sounds of vague whispering. You can't quite make it out. You're not sure if it's shouting. You're not sure if it's one of your fellow Mavs yelling at you. And it's at this point, maybe some of the birds just come from behind and start pecking here and there. And so go ahead and write in your box however you want to flavor this injury. Okay. Next is going to be Lena. So Lena, you get a 3 of hearts. Look at y'all are being so good doing all the different ones. So Melissa clearly is going to get a clubs. Okay, so Lena, for you, you're watching and you see the fog, the smoke above. Something about it is very acrid. It's you can feel this extra pungence to it. And the amount of these birds, birds can act bizarre sometimes, but there's something about this, and you can feel somewhere deep in you, the veil is kind of ripping apart in some way, and you feel this fear of like this is more than just some environmental incident. Something bigger and more important is happening. So go ahead and give us a spirit save, as that's what hearts is.
Okay. Spirit is my lowest at D6.
Perfect.
D10. Hey.
Good. Okay. So D6 and a D10?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's an ace.
Okay.
But if I use an ace, that gives me a +2?
Yeah, I think you can spend aces on saves. You just can't get aces on saves.
Okay.
If that's incorrect, Steven, say so now. I'm pretty sure that's
Steven's nodding and putting his thumb up.
Okay. So if you want to spend your ace, that'll push you up to a 10. And so you won't, in fact, take, what's this say? Oh, just die outright? That seems a little harsh, Steven. But... Oh, only if it's my traits character. Sorry.
Okay, that
seems
makes
targeted,
sense.
but
that makes sense.
okay.
Steven is very hateful.
So describe a little bit about like how do you like kind of steel yourself, or what do you do to kind of snap back reality and kind of focus on the moment?
So I something that Elena isn't super open about is that she has quite literally made a deal with the devil. And so I think this moment, as terrifying as it is not as horrific as what she has had to endure previously. So I think she's able to kind of just talk herself out of like reacting as badly as her instinct makes her.
Fantastic. So you think back to previous experiences. It could be worse in some ways, right? And that kind of steals you to some degree. Perfect. And then the last one, Petra. Petra, you are going to get a 2 of spades. So of course, we're not going to see clubs. Thanks, Melissa. So spades is quick. You, much like Dora, you are caught up in the throng of people. So you're caught up in the crowd as they're starting to surge. You're kind of getting pushed to the railing. It almost feels like you could fall over the railing because of how much they're scrambling. Dubs is kind of coming towards you, screaming. You can see he's got this long carving knife, a little rusted, and he's just kind of wildly swinging here and there as he's running, not paying any attention to the people that he might accidentally cut in the process. Give us a quick save. So what's your quick attribute? What's your die?
So my quick is a D6.
Okay.
So before I do that, though, as blood, I get 2 callings, and my second calling is hard case. And so because I have hard case, I can increase my weird die with only 3 aces. So I'm going to take the 3 aces that I had gotten last time, and I'm going to go ahead and up my weird die, because I asked in chat if I could do that at any time, and the answer was yes. So now seems like a good time to do it. So that means instead of rolling a D6 and a D10, I'm going to roll a D6 and a D12.
Okay. All right, cheater, go ahead and give that roll.
And that helped me not at all.
Oh.
And now you can't spend them to increase your roll like Lena did.
Oh wait, I rolled the wrong die. Hold on.
Nope, too late. Give us the total.
After all that.
Give us the total. Nope.
It still didn't work. So I rolled a 6 on a D12 and a 2 on a D6.
6 on a D12 and a 2 on a D6. Okay. So same question. As this throng's coming towards you, you see a couple faces you recognize, like I said, Mr. Dubs, others as well, and they're all pushing for the stairs. How does Petra get caught up in this, and how does she take an injury? Because you will, in fact, take this is quick, right? So you take a moderate injury. So it's not.
Dear.
So this is the middle tier of injury. This is a fairly decent. This is like a concussion or something.
Yeah. I would say that Petra is a little bit torn because we are here with a job to do. So she kind of should be like just taking care of herself. But she is also kind of trying to look around a little bit and see if she can find Kaz. So it's a little bit of that like indecision of like, look for him, run, and then just gets injured.
Okay. So go ahead and write in the moderate injury section of your character sheet what that injury is, flavor it however around. So what do you think it is? Like, what do you think it's a cut? Do you think it's a break? Do you think it's a fracture? Do you think it's a concussion? What do you think it is?
I was thinking concussion, if that counts as a
Bang your
moderate.
head.
Like that's kind of, like she just kind of gets spun around and kind of pushed against like a wall or a column or something.
Yeah, you look up and you can see Cass Thamer in his beautiful suit, which is now getting torn apart as one crow dives down. You see him take like this, not intentional, this accidental swipe of this carving knife from Dubs as he's trying to like hack a crow out of mid-flight, misses and just cuts through the sleeve of Cass Thamer. And as you step towards him, you just get bumped around, you fall to the ground, and someone kicks you in the head as you go by. And so go ahead and you write that in. Now I'm going to turn it over to you. So saves are when you have to withstand stuff happening, like, something's happening to you, effects are happening to you. I would like you all as a way of resolving this encounter, but also as a way of introducing and showing us something cool with your character. Describe something you're actively doing to help resolve this encounter, slow it down, help people get away, help specific people get away. So we're going to start up with Dora. Dora, obviously your friend is in need, but there are plenty of others that are in need, and your boss, Cass Thamer, is in need. So what is something that Dora does? Describe Dora as she does it to try to get out of this, and then like we'll roll a check and we'll see how it goes.
All right, I'm dying.
Oh no! Why?
Actually,
Seriously? You haven't taken an injury
he's
yet.
actually struggling.
Oh goodness.
I think
Okay.
we need to.
We
Okay.
can start with somebody else.
Yeah, go someone else.
Okay, let's go to Lena. Lena, what is Lena doing? You managed to steel yourself, focus. You realize there's something more happening here, possibly, but you also realize that there's very real danger. You see Petra on the ground getting kicked. You see Lullaby getting shoved around as she's just sort of staring limply. You see Dora swinging and trying to make it to the tall woman, Maybell, and you see Cass Thamer, the guy you're hired to protect, who is now like in the throng. So what does Lena do to try to be heroic and such in this moment?
Lena is nothing if not a hero, so she's gonna make sure they can still get paid.
That's
so
smart.
she is running up to Cass, and the bird that is actively attacking him is gonna try and like rip that off. I don't know if that's like a wrangle check or.
I would take either wrangle or brawl. Either one of those I think would make sense in this case. And then yeah, I think wrangle or brawl would be fine here. And then, I mean, I think a case can be made for both quick and grit. So whatever combo you like the best.
If I can talk you into grit, because that's a D12 for me.
Yeah, so we can say like maybe one has literally just embedded itself, the beak of this crow has embedded itself like right into the breast of Kaz, and so maybe the beak, and it's just kind of, it's just trying to cling with its claws to the lapel, and you're just trying to wrench it free. So yeah, give us a grit, and then
that is a 13.
A 13, okay.
And I actually have a thing for wrangle.
All right.
Sorry, give me 1 second.
Yeah, take your time.
I have a. What do I have for wrangle? I definitely had a thing for it.
Got a trade or something for it?
Sugar cubes. It's one of my kits. Used during a successful wrangle check to be dealt an additional 2 aces.
Okay. So kits. So we haven't talked about kits yet. So kits are in some ways part of your inventory effectively, but the thing with kits is that you don't necessarily have to define specifically like what you're using until you use it. And so a kit, when you actually use one, and you like kind of create a little flashback to describe like why you brought this item with you, this kit with you, and why you knew this would be useful on this scenario. So like we see Lena run up, we see her reach into her pack, and she pulls out, you said sugar cubes?
And that was what it was initially, and I actually love that. So I would like to keep sugar cubes.
So we do like a brief little flashback to like Lena like purchasing this in like the previous town. Like, and so like, what's the thought process? What was the thought process for Lena bringing sugar cubes on this steamboat ride?
She thought that there might be some beasts of burden. She had to like secretly lead away at the end of this journey, and was planning on maybe bribing them with this if they needed to do that.
Okay, so you come up, you try to yank the crow free. You kind of get the sugar cube in the other hand as it still lunges out like it's trying to scrape, but instead of going for the lapel, it just goes to the sugar cube in your hand, and it just starts going kind of wildly. So go ahead and take 2 aces because you had a 13, so you should have gotten 1 for that, and then a second ace for using this ability. You said, is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
For using
or this
my
kit.
So I do have a question about aces. I believe you can only have 4
is max
sleeved at a time, and I have 6 total now.
Okay, so what I would recommend, you could spend 4 of them to increase your weird die.
Okay, great.
So
can I do that, please?
Absolutely. So just go ahead and reduce down to 2. Bump your weird die up 1 step.
Okay, that goes from a D10 to a D12.
Perfect. And you're set.
Sweet.
if another save comes around.
Twinsies.
Okay.
So, thank you.
May yours
right.
roll better than mine.
Lullaby, we're going to come back to you. You're trying to calculate the patterns, but you just feel yourself getting bumped and clawed at. You come back, you kind of focus. What is something Lullaby actively does to try to help resolve the situation?
Just getting a sense of the immediate danger. I'll draw out my tomahawk called Black Swan. It just looks like decked out in feathers, custom hilt.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll swing it in the air, try to scare some of the crows away, maybe hit a couple.
You just start swinging. Okay. So yeah, we'll just make this like an attack roll. That's fine. So give me... is your tomahawk... I think it's going to be...
It's a brawl.
Yeah, it's brawl plus... Is it grit or quick for you? Is there any traits on it that changes what it actually normally is?
Probably grit, if there isn't anything in particular.
Some of them
Whatever
have
the
like
default attack
yeah,
is.
so go ahead and roll grit then.
Okay.
So I think there's one that like it's a quick weapon or something like that. Steven would know, but he's not here.
So I have a D6 grit and a D8 brawl.
All right,
Oh,
give it a roll.
7.
Do you have any aces you want to use here?
I have 1, so it wouldn't be enough.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
So what I'm going to say is as you start swinging wildly, I'm going to give you a choice. Okay? You either, in the process of trying to hack through some of these crows, you either accidentally, that tomahawk goes into the back of Cass, or you take another minor injury as you swing it around and kind of hurt yourself in the process. One of the crows comes flying at you.
I'll take the injury.
Okay. All right. So take another minor injury. So that's 2 for Lullaby. He's had a rough time up here.
Oh,
okay.
Yo.
And then let's go over to Petra. Petra, what is something that you try to actively do to resolve the situation here? You can see Lena has gotten to Cass and has definitely, it is now kind of protecting him and guarding him. Lullaby was trying to do the same thing too, but also kind of got swarmed and nearly just hacked Kaz in the back, but seems to have recovered. What does Petra do to try to help resolve the situation?
So my flesh trait is frog legs, which is a little more flavor than sort of actual visual.
Okay.
But clearly, the way to solve this problem is to take off her sombrero, jump in the air, and wave the sombrero around and get them to fly away. That's clearly the thing that's going to work here.
Why do you do this to yourself? Why do you constantly do things that involve jumping? Okay. It sounds like an athletics test for skill, and I would think quick, but I think you could make a case for Grit if you wanted to jump higher or something like that.
Yeah, so I can jump 20 feet high with my frog legs. So
boat's gone by the time you come down. That's not how physics work.
So, like, I mean, I would prefer Grit just because I'd prefer Grit, but I'm not necessarily sure that I've got a good
that's fine.
case for that.
I just think of it in terms of height versus like quickness or accuracy of the jump. That's sort of how I would
She's looking
argue.
for height, so she's got like maximum spin radius of her sombrero as she goes up and goes
do your
down.
frog legs give you like a raise or anything on the roll?
No, they don't.
You know
It just
what?
gives me.
I'm going to. You go ahead and take a raise on the roll in this particular case as it's helping you leap up into here. So raise, essentially, for this roll only, increase the lower of your 2 die. Okay.
Okay, so they were both D8s. So now one is a
one goes
D10
to
and one
D10.
is a D8.
There you go.
Yes.
Give it a rip.
And
If you snake eyes-
yes, chat.
You're not surviving.
Yes, chat. There is fall damage, but frog legs lets me treat falling injuries as if I fell 40 feet less. So there's
Not if you fall
why.
into the paddle itself and then just get blendered up a bit, which is what's going to happen. Looking at her face right now.
So,
How'd you do?
Holy shit, is that what happened?
no.
Why do you
but
do
I
this
still
to
failed.
yourself? Why do you
rolled
do
a
this to
4 and
yourself? You
4.
never succeed in jumps. It's crazy.
Because it's fun.
What's your roll?
It's a cool
What's your roll?
visual. It's cool. It's a 4 and a 4. So it's an 8. And I spent all
All right.
my
Unfortunately, we have an
aces
eight.
on
I'm
the
trying to give you guys opportunities to get aces right here. That's what this is for. You leap up, but in the process, like I'm gonna say maybe you leap into the like
have a
up a little bit
concussion.
higher, and
also.
your balance is a little off. Your aim is a little off. There's this just sort of cloud of fog and smoke just permeating, and you can see different groups of crows like dive down from beneath it, and you just leap up just a little too high to when you're literally inside of the cloud, and you inhale the worst of it, the most condensed, horrific. And as you come back down, you're so busy in this coughing fit that you don't quite have your balance and you don't land properly. So let's see. What kind of conditions are there? Let's see. I'm trying to remember all my conditions.
I was just thinking a minor injury, like a.
Oh, we'll do that, but I'm just trying to explore
twisted
different
ankle or-
options.
Oh, I'm gonna get an ailment too.
I was just curious. if there's anything that we could have used. No, I
I
don't really
mean
see it.
we're
No, I don't really see it. Go ahead and
giving
take a minor
the game
injury.
a whirl.
Go ahead
All
and take
right,
another
twisted ankle.
minor. Okay.
My frog legs fail me.
All right. And then finally, back to Ashley. Ashley, what does Dora do to try to help resolve this situation?
Oh, Dora Vix, since she already has this banner and this length of rope, she's gonna use it to try and wrangle up some of these pesky crows and maybe slam them to death upon the deck.
Okay. All right. What are you thinking for skill? Skill, maybe I would say athletics or brawl, probably.
Okay.
And then attributes, they're moving pretty fast, maybe quick. How's that sound?
Okay. Yeah, I'll
right.
do a quick brawl if that's okay.
Sounds good to me.
All right. So that's going to be 2d10.
Okay. Give it a rip. Oh my. 17. That's fantastic. So that's going to give you 3 aces.
Excellent.
Okay.
Oh, yes.
And so what does it look as you effectively rip or tear away this banner, and in doing so, like you manage at the last, like as the last of these crows come down, and there's some of them are still alive and pecking, others are on the ground and dead and just twitching to death. A few you can see have punctured some of the windows of the wheelhouse, and you can see through those fractured windows. There's like Captain Carrington and some of his crew kind of scrambling a bit. But you come around and you're weaving this thing around. What does it look like as you kind of scare the last of these crows away?
So she is clearly whipping this around above her head, and she gives a loud yeah as she whips it, and it captures a few of them, and then she pulls it quickly back towards herself, and you just watch as she throws it on the ground, and then she pulls out Wendy, which is her very large and trusty war club, and instead of doing the sharp side, she takes it and does the blunt flat side and just mashes them to the ground and beats them to death.
And so as this situation begins to settle a bit, as much of the crew and the passengers who had fled have now, like you've seen that they have kind of cleared the promenade at this point. There's a handful of people remaining. Lena, you have Cass behind you, and he's like ducking, and he is, he is constantly complaining the whole time. You can see that next to Dora, we have that tall Maybell who's watching as you just beat this sack, or this like impromptu ad hoc sack of crows to death. Little specks of blood and some feathers start puffing up into the air, and she's just watching you do this. Lullaby and Petra, you've had a little bit more difficult of a time as you're bleeding, limping, a little confused. But eventually, the last of the crows that are still flying disappear back up into the fog, and we no longer see them. There's still plenty on the deck. Again, some of them are dead. Some of them are just twitching in their last throes of life. Others, you can see, are kind of stuck in various places, like in the wood or in the glass. And there are still others, like as you peer over the railing, that have found a place to fall on the different decks and balconies and stairs. So there's a handful of people about. And as things settle, you hear like, oh my goodness, how? And Cass gets up. What is this? My blood? Oh no, how dare they? And he walks over to where there's a crow that's already dead. He just starts like ineffectually kicking it. How dare you, stupid bird. And then he turns back around to Lena. You helped me. Well done. You are hired. One of those other fools I hired to protect me is now fired. You can take the position. Finally, someone of gravitas and someone of capability. For a person of my stature, this is the type of service I need. Thank you. And he's like reaching his hand forward.
Very confused.
Trying to get your name. Your name.
Lena, you already hired me.
I'm sorry. I don't think that's true. I would remember that name, and I don't. So, anyhow, you're hired now. For the rest of the duration of this trip, you are going to make sure that none of this, and he holds up, and he's got like really tiny scratches. Like it might not even have been the crow. Never happens again. This right here is the moneymaker. This is what people look at when I give various speeches to investors and to those labor people that sometimes work in the factory. I can't be seen to have such blemishes. Do you understand me? I'm sorry, what was your name again?
Lena.
Lena,
I
yes.
will do my best, sir.
Your best. Losers do their best. Winners go home and make sweet love to the prom queen.
There it is.
Amazing.
Okay. So, in the wake of this, you can see that Captain Carrington is going to come out. He opens the door from the wheelhouse, and he's inspecting. There's a handful of folks that are on the ground who are huddling here or there. Like you see the skittish person you stole the knife from in the corner. You can see there's the man with the cane and was dressed really nicely. You can see he was kind of fending a few off with a cane off on the other side of the wheelhouse. And you see Captain Carrington, the man, again, there's a man with very long beard, darker skin. He has his beard so long that he has to tuck it into his belt. And he's going around just inquiring, making sure everything's okay. And he comes up to Lullaby. Sir, are you okay? Are you all right, sir? That you look injured. I have a medic. We could have you attended to if that's necessary.
I am fine. A couple scratches.
Are you sure they're not? Nothing worse than that.
No, I've only cut myself. It's me to
I see.
blame.
Well, I appreciate your assistance in trying to help these, the rest of these folk around here. You are very, very brave. And you, madam, as he comes hustling over to Petra and gives you a hand, like pulling you back up. I don't quite know how you reached up into the heavens there, and perhaps you should work a bit on your landings, but it was quite impressive. He pulls you up, dusts the
thank you.
crow feathers off of you.
I think someone in their boots may have conked me in the noggin before I jumped in the air, and generally I'm okay with the up and the down, but the up was okay and the down not so much that time. I might there's just one of you, right? Just one of you right there?
Oh, yes, Mr. Swenson's the bridge is assuring that none of the instruments have been damaged.
Okay.
The down happens, and of course, it's the up that was very impressive.
Oh, thank you. And she tries to kind of brush herself off a little bit. I appreciate that, as ineffectual as I might have been. You have quite the impressive ship here, Captain. I'm not sure I got a chance to say that yesterday.
Well, I appreciate that very much, but now seems an hard time to offer such a compliment. But thank you. I'm going to assume that's the concussion talking. Now, come on. And he kind of pulls her up. All right, so in the wake of this, as we see a handful of folks are up here, birds dead everywhere, fog overhead from the smokestacks, smells nasty. What are you all doing? What are you all doing in the wake of this?
This is a bad sign, an omen. Captain, has this happened before?
Sometimes a bird or two might follow us for a bit, but nothing quite like that. And Kaz at that point, as he's dusting himself off, and he gently moves Lena off to the side as he steps up because he has something he wants to say. And he's like, well, actually, this seems like a classic case of avian maritime territoriality, if you ask me. I've seen it many a time. Clearly, Captain, the crows mistook the steamboat for some giant bird or encroaching upon the territory, obviously triggered by the engines, vibrations mimicking some sort of call, perhaps mating call, who knows. Anyhow, it's basic ornithological knowledge, I think. So really, there's nothing to be concerned here. I would presume anyone with a modicum of intelligence would have understood it. Now, my new bodyguard here, she and I once saw.
Away.
What? He kind of turns around and he's like motioning to you, just like, the two of us, we saw a fleet of condors once nearly sink an iron freighter near one of our factories. So these crows seem to just be following suit, albeit to a smaller scale. I don't think there's anything to worry about, Mr. He looks very confusedly. Oh, yes, you're the Goblin. That's right, Mr. Goblin.
Yes, Plumpman, are you okay?
Am I okay? No, thanks to you. To my dear new friend and... Where did she go?
There's nobody back.
Where?
She's
Where
wandered off.
Oh, dear. Perhaps I banged my head and I imagined all of it. Yes. I protected myself. That's what it was. Yes. That must be what it was. No thanks to you, Goblin. You were supposed to watch my back and you did not. Where were you this whole time?
I was here with you.
Were you?
Behind you, so you cannot see.
Were you? Let me think about this carefully. Yes, I remember you. You were coming crazily at me with that tomahawk of yours. You wanted to kill me. Did the Covenant send you? I think so. Yes, I think so. You have the look of an assassin. Yes. Captain, do you have a brig? No, sir. I genuinely think this man was trying to help you. No brig. We'll just have to throw him overboard then. Goblin, jump overboard, please.
I cannot protect you if I do.
Well, you cannot protect me if you don't.
Will I still be paid?
Still be paid? Well, that's an excellent question. You know what? The person who understands the basic economics the idea of service and then funds for services rendered, that's the kind of person I want on my staff. Goblin, you're hired. Anyhow, he looks around. What's as that conversation proceeds? Dora, Petra, Lena, are you doing anything in the wake of this this crazy little flight of crows?
I'm looking for Richard.
Richard was not up here, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
In
the
that
man with
case,
the really fancy gun. Yeah, you didn't see him.
Yeah. So if he's not up here, I'll join Petra and Dora after. Like, she's just walked around giving a cursory look for him and not finding him. We'll join that group.
It's possible you saw him before everything went down, but there's a bunch of people who started running. He might have been part of that.
Yeah, fair enough.
That contingent. Okay. Anything else we're doing? What else do we think we're doing?
So Petra is a Sawbones. So that's the other
nice.
calling that Petra has. So Petra is going to go over to Lullaby, who looks quite a bit banged up, beat up, cut up, cut himself with a tomahawk, got a bunch of bird injuries on him. And she kind of goes through her things and pulls out some laudanum, which can be used as a patch up, which I think will take a bit of time during the day to kind of do some patching up. It can remove a minor injury.
Okay. So patch up, I think is it automatic? Because I think it usually is a bushcraft check.
So for me, it is because of Sawbones, it's education, not bushcraft.
Gotcha. I think is that for ailments or is that for injuries?
So the description for laudanum says that you use it for patch up to remove a minor injury.
Okay. If that's what the description says.
So the kit is automatic. Okay. So looking at chat, the kit is automatic. So
okay.
So
you
Petra
can
will
use
go
it,
over.
you just have to roll, right? Okay. So give me that education test then. And is this on you or is this on Lullaby?
This is on Lullaby.
Okay.
Because this is only minor and he's got 2 minors.
Okay. Gotcha.
So my education is a D10 and my reckon, which feels like what this would be tied to, is a D12.
I think that makes sense to me. Yeah.
So
go for it.
Let's see how I do rolling a D10 and a D12.
So Lullaby, Petra comes over and she's trying to tend to one of your injuries. What injury do you think she's working on? Like, what do you think what does it look like as she comes over to?
By looking at the holes that were made by the crows pecking at me, scratching at me, back of my neck.
Okay. There's a few that just probably look a little deeper and like the blood is gushing from them here and there. All right. How'd you do, Petra?
So I rolled a 12 on a D12 and a 1 on a D10.
Okay, so 13.
That's a total of 13.
I think if we're
bank an ace for that.
Yeah, I think if you for the normal patch up, I know that you can spend an ace to sweeten the pot. And that's for ailments. Never mind. That's for ailments. I keep looking at my notes. So okay.
So right. I will sleeve the ace and then I will heal. I'm sorry, Long. I was rolling my dice. I didn't catch which of your injuries was I tending to? The tomahawk cut or the bird?
It's the bird.
Okay. Yes, just we'll need to take care of this. And so she's got taken care of that minor injury. It is now gone.
Thank you, Petra. I cannot reach there.
Got you all taken care of.
Okay. She's fixing your back. Okay. Dora. So last we saw you had stood right next to your friend Maybell, and you were smashing a banner filled with crows. Are you doing anything afterwards?
Yeah. So Dora, she's gonna peek in there and see that she really just mashed them to mush. So she's just gonna delicately close it back up and ignore that.
Actually, if you would like, as you peek in, give me like a bushcraft test, maybe.
Okay, what attribute would you like for that?
Reckon, I think, would probably make the most sense.
Okay, so this is going to be a D6 and a D6.
Okay, I would actually give you a a raise on one of your die because of what you did to collect them and smash them a bit. So I would say you get a raise on this.
Thank you. So D6 and a D8. And that was terrible. I got a 4.
Okay, so you look in and it's this mash of like black feathers, gook and guts and all sorts of things. And you take a quick look, smells horrific, and then you kind of wrap it back up. And what do you say?
So, this is no good. Maybelle, darling, do you see any of those nasty crows nearby that maybe you could inspect for me, see if it's natural or not?
And you can see she's a little afraid. There's so much death around here. Do you want a living one?
No,
or
no.
One that has already crossed over?
We should do one that's crossed over just to see if it's normal or not.
And so she like looks and she has a very good view of everything because she's so tall.
Yeah.
And she reaches past you. You can see it almost looks like she's reaching towards you, but then she just reaches past you and like kind of brushes your shoulder as she does. And you hear like a pluck, and she plucks a crow whose beak had basically stabbed into the wooden wall of the wheelhouse and pulls this out, and she sets it on the ground and then kneels. You see she kind of goes through some of her robes, her layers, and she pulls out like this small little pouch, this little kit. And from it, you can see there's all these tiny little things like a scalpel and like some tweezers and things like that. And as she kind of starts cutting through it, she gasps, "Oh, Miss Vix,
Yeah.
This is very abnormal."
How so?
Well, I normally don't traffic in ornithological dead. Most of my medical examinations on humans, but I'm quite certain that's not supposed to be there. And when you look down at what she's pointing at, you can see like she is cut open almost like a Y incision basically on the bird, right? And like the stem of that Y has gone through the bird's belly, and you see spilling out from it is this shiny black liquid. And she leans down, gives it a quick sniff. "My dear, I think that's oil."
Oh.
And as you look down, you can see like that little like rainbow effect sometimes when the light hits it at a certain angle.
Uh-huh.
And it very much looks like crude oil has just spilled out of the belly of this crow.
Well, that's unnatural. And at that point, she's going to call over Petra and Lullaby and Lena.
Okay. All of you are within earshot of each other, so anybody who wants to come over is more than welcome.
Yep.
So, Miss Mabel here was so kind as to dissect one of these birds for us, and they have oil in their bellies. That's unnatural.
That is quite unusual. Was there a method of entry, or do we think this is what they were feeding upon?
Well, we can't tell, but Lullaby, is this a ritual that you would have known of?
No, this is non-natural. Usually there's guts and blood.
That's true.
Lena, since we'll say maybe you linger as you haven't spoke yet, and you're over by a railing, and you can see as you're like looking down, maybe looking for Richard, see if he's on the staircase going down. But as your eyes go down, your eye line catches some of the water, and there's a lot of smoke and there's a lot of fog that's permeating, more than seems necessary. Like obviously there's some, but like always, but it seems a little thicker. But as you're looking down, like some of that parts, and you can see that the river is very dark, very muddy looking. Like it's nearly black, in fact. like the water itself just looks very, very almost opaque in some ways. And now you're on the fourth level of the deck, so you don't have like a super up close view of it, but just looking down you can see the darkness of it. And that's when you probably hear like the voice of Dora kind of calling everyone over.
Blackness isn't just inside the crow. The water looks very... doesn't look like what water should look like.
Oh, I just went for a swim in it yesterday before dinner, and it seemed just fine.
It looked different than what it looked like yesterday. Wouldn't come take a look?
Of course.
I don't
And
know
so
if
Petra
it's
will...
the same oil, but it's... as long as we're seeing things that oughtn't be there.
And so Petra probably would go down to kind of where she had kind of come back up onto the ship yesterday and try to get a closer look at the water.
Okay, so yesterday you dove in at the front of the ship, and then you swam to not all the way to the back of the ship, because then you would get in the paddle wake.
Yeah.
And so we'll say you go down a few flights. You pass by a couple folks. You see a few faces. Like you see like D-Dubs is like clinging his hands like on the staircase, maybe on the second deck, and you can see he's like breathing heavily. He's got a couple feathers in his hair, and like he's got a line of blood here or there, and he's like staring in his hand at this long rusty like carving knife, and you can tell that he's just sort of lost, and he's just breathing very heavily as you move past.
Mr. Dubs.
And his eyes just kind of continue to stare at the knife. Miss Mermaid, are you all right? I'm sorry.
Oh, I hit my head a bit earlier. You seem to be a little worse as well.
No, I did the same. I hit my head as well. Yes. A peculiar thing. You know what you think?
The hitting the birds. Yes,
The
very,
birds.
very odd.
Yeah.
And the water. I'm about to go check the water out.
Water.
It seems a bit black.
Oh, I hadn't noticed. Would you like me to accompany you?
And she'll look behind her to see if Lena had come with her.
Anyone can if they want. Okay.
Yeah.
My friend and I are about to take a look, but are you sure you should be looking over the edge? You don't seem quite well.
I'm just a bit tired. I don't think I slept particularly well last night. Maybe I'll just go lie down for a bit.
Maybe that's wise. I would hate to have you fall in or something. Would you? I have some medical training. Would you like me to check in on you in a bit?
No.
Oh.
I'll be fine. Thank you, though.
Did not mean to be so forward.
Well,
my apologies.
No apologies necessary, ma'am. I'm sorry. I just appear to be a little bit out of sorts.
Yes, indeed you do. Go get some rest. And Petra will look back to Lena like,
Yes, ma'am.
He was a bit abrupt. Yes? Right?
Very. Hey, Mr. Dillard, your friend get out okay?
And he's getting ready to go back up to the third deck, and then he stops. Mr. Dillard's my father.
Aren't you not Mr. Dillard?
Oh, yes. I suppose I am. You can call me Dubs. Mr. Dubs, I prefer.
And Mr. Dubs, your friend get out okay?
I don't have any friends.
What about that man Richard with the gun?
I don't know him all that well. I just met him on the boat. I've known him as long as I've known you two.
Okay.
Sorry,
go ahead.
We'll see you later. And
he's just
Petra
like,
will look back to Lena.
he just sort of like takes his carving knife and just sort of wipes it and cleans it on his coat, and he pulls his jacket back and just tucks it into. It doesn't even really look like a sheath. It just looks like a big pocket, and like in his. It's pretty dangerous, and he's like, "I beg your pardon, ma'ams. I think I'm gonna go take that nap now. I'm sure I'll be in better spirits this evening." He starts to climb up at that point.
Lena will look at Petra. That he's a very different person than he was yesterday.
I'm glad it wasn't just me. I'm not necessarily known for being able to read the signals, as it were. I thought he was such a more gentlemanly man yesterday.
He was just different.
So he was not up with the rest of us.
Crow's not what they should be. The water is not what they should be, and Dubs is not what he should.
Oh, the water. That's right. That's why we were coming down here. I almost forgot for a moment.
We should go check on him after. I know he said not to, but what's he gonna do?
Oh, perhaps use that knife in lethal sorts of ways.
It's fine. It's okay. Well,
Oh, okay. I might take your arm because she's like turning down and turning up and turning down and turning up, and then I might just take your arm as I go back down the stairs again to look at the water.
let's go look at the water first, then we can.
Okay. So the two of you head down. We'll touch on the water in a second. What about Dora and Lullaby? What are the two of you up to?
I think we should get Cass, and she looks at Mabel, and you yourself probably back to our rooms for now until we ensure everything's safe.
Are you telling me what to do?
I would just like you to be safe if that's okay.
I seem perfectly fine. I can handle myself. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Now, I'm not your wealthy executive in need of hand-holding, thank you.
I know, but I thought we were friends, but okay.
I
And
did
Dora
as well.
will just kind of stand up abruptly and well, thank you for your assistance with that.
She just goes, "You're welcome."
And Dora doesn't really take it personally. She just kind of chuckles like, okay. And she's going to go approach Cass.
Okay. So Cass is still on the promenade. He's maybe just a handful of steps from you, and you can see he's just like, this is my beautiful suit. Look at what they did to it, tall woman. Look at what they did to it.
What a shame. Would you like to head back to your room and get cleaned up?
I very much would. You see, he just like reaches in. He's trying to, and like his caviar tin drops, and he picks it back up, and he's like, "Oh yes, that'll make me feel better." And he just like pops the tin off and just, "Oh yes, that's good. That's good. Yes," and puts the tin back on. And he's like, "Yes, tall woman, you and the goblin, lead me. Come." And he's like, puts his arms up like he's like a child waiting to be picked up.
If he really wants to be picked up, Dora will pick him up.
Okay, and so you pick him up, but once he gets on his feet, he's like, "Oh, enough manhandling, tall woman. I can walk. Thank you very much."
Surely.
Okay, so you start escorting him to his cabin. It's good. Lullaby, did you want to go with, or did you want to do something else?
I'll come with, and hopefully, if you don't want the crow sack anymore, I'll take it.
Okay. Go ahead and put crow sack into your inventory.
Nice.
Sack of dead crows. Okay. All right. So the two of you go down a flight of stairs to deck 3. You get into the cabin level. And both of you you lead him to his presidential suite. Door opens up. You can see his trunks are open, except for one, which has been like jammed. He said he's very upset about it. But again, there's multiple rooms. So he's got his bedroom. He's got a bar, basically. Like it's ridiculous in here. It's more than anyone needs. You can see like there's windows in each of the rooms of his suite. And you can see that kind of smoke and fog from the smokestacks is kind of permeating out there. It's actually making it kind of hard to see. It's like you guys kind of got a late start this morning. We had a buffet breakfast. So it's like a brunch. You had like a brunch, basically. So it's like midday, it's like around noon, but there's a lot of like smoke and fog out there that kind of is like obscuring some of the view. But what Lena and Petra said about the water, you can still see from here, very, very dark whenever you have the view. But he turns to the two of you. That'll be all. Thank you very much. Come, I think I might take a rest. I've worked very, very hard this morning to protect the people of this boat, so perhaps I might reward myself with a small cat nap. Yes?
That sounds good. Do you mind if I check your spare rooms? They might have windows and want to make sure none of the crows got in through them. They did break through some of the windows up on the promenade.
Yes, they might have. Very astute thinking. Take a note, Goblin. Try to think more astutely in the future. Yes, tall woman, go right ahead.
And she'll do just that. She'll check the room to make sure there's no danger or crows or anything.
Okay. You look around. You can see that one of the windows has like a small crack in it, but it's like a pebble on a windshield kind of crack. It's nothing serious. Otherwise, you don't notice anything amiss. He's got his trunk. He's got his suits like hanging here and there. While there's a lot of stuff, he doesn't seem like a slob per se. So you can see stuff is hanging or stuff is like well pressed and everything. So it does seem like he keeps his things in fine order. You do notice that in like one of the containers, like there is like a big stack, like a box of those little caviar jars. Like he just travels everywhere with tons and tons of caviar. He lives that kind of life. But otherwise, nothing really kind of catches your attention.
Okay.
You're saying one of his trunks was stuck open?
Mm-hmm.
Could we take a look and
It was like jammed, so he was unable to open it. Certainly, you can give it a try. How would you go about trying to bust open this trunk? What do you think? What's your tactic here?
I'll shove a tomahawk between like point and opening and use leverage to crack it open.
Okay. Since you're just like trying to force it open and you're not, so I'll say no. So give me a brawl with a grit, as you're really just trying to essentially muscle it open.
While that roll is happening, if you are listening and not watching at the moment, you might want to go watch because we're doing the giveaway. So check Twitch chat for the giveaway.
A measly 4.
You start hacking away at this thing, and you immediately hear, "Goblin, what on earth are you doing?" As he didn't follow Dora, he was still in the area. So you just start hacking into his
I will
trunk.
open this for you.
No, you will not. And tall woman, the goblin is going insane. Come back here. I think whatever affected the crows is affecting him. We must put him down. Bring your weapon. Shoot him several times.
Dora will come out.
You see Lullaby is just hacking to death at this really expensive traveling trunk.
Lullaby, please stop.
I was only trying to open it.
I do appreciate that, but ruining it is potentially worse than just getting it open or it staying closed.
Don't see the problem. I'm sure you can afford another.
That is not the point. The point is that you shouldn't have attacked it. It is a trunk. It is not... And what is... Just Goblin, I am very disappointed. You're fired. Get out. Get out. You're fired.
I will see you when you wake from your nap.
So you start wandering out, you leave. Okay. And then he turns to you, Dora. Were there any additional dangers here, tall woman?
Didn't appear to be anything, so you're good to take your nap.
You see, I was thinking perhaps it would be smart to have somebody on watch while I took this nap. Do you know anyone who would be well suited for that task?
Yeah, any one of us would be good for that if you'd prefer.
So you volunteer to stand sentry.
I can do that, yes.
That is the kind of dedication to responsibility that's going to get you very far in this organization. Very far. Now, go stand outside.
Sure thing.
Don't let anyone in, especially that goblin. I do not want this trunk to be further damaged. Do you understand?
I understand, yeah.
Okay. He takes clears his teeth off with a little finger jam of his caviar, and he wanders back. Dora, while you're out here, we'll say the time. Well, we'll say actually. Let me check with Lullaby. Lullaby, what would you do after this? Get
Not
thrown
much.
out.
I would just think upon what just happened, the swarm that attacked, what guts were
Okay.
left behind.
Okay, where would you do this?
Back up on the promenade.
All right, so you return to the promenade and you just kind of sit around and kind of take in, do some calculations. Dora, you stand sentry at the door outside the presidential suite.
Yeah,
then-
I'll snag a chair.
Okay. All right. And then we go down to Lena and Petra, who are by the water. So let's go ahead and let's check back in with them. So as you come down, and you're just you can see the water so much more clearly from this bottom round deck. You hear the sounds from the front of the ship of orders being yelled. It's the familiar sound of Swenson, the first mate, who's just kind of yelling at the crew to do this, to do that, to do this. And you can tell there's a little bit extra to it today, especially in light of this. And there's everywhere you've passed, there's been bird feathers and crows and little flecks of blood or something like that you've had to see. And so they're likely he's just kind of shouting out orders. So you're not alone on the deck, but you are certainly in this little area that you found towards the back of the ship just before the paddle. The two of you can kind of peek down. And it very much, just looking at it, it definitely is. It's definitely not just muddy water. You can tell just by looking at it, and maybe even running a hand through it, or taking a knife or something, whatever else you have in your pack, and lifting it up. It very much looks like this water has been overwhelmed with a crude oil spill. It's just and the volume is amazing how much it would have been, because your steamboat's still traveling. It's been traveling this whole time. It never stopped. It's continuing to travel, and you still see the water. You still see the water. So if this was a spill, it'd be thousands of barrels worth. And what would you like to do?
Lena, this is quite a disaster. The water was just beautiful when I was swimming in it yesterday.
There's no way for me to try and get a sample of it, is there?
Of course, yeah. I don't even think that would require a roll. You just lean over. If you have a tin, or if you take your canteen, empty it, and scoop it, something like that, I'm sure you easily could. Yeah.
Sweet. I would like to do that then, please.
So Lena, we see Lena kind of get down on hands and knees. We see her lean over the side. Maybe Petra is holding your belt or something to ensure. And you dunk the empty canteen into the water, into this black, thick water. And you can feel the viscosity of it. It's not at all water. There's some foaminess still because of the surf from the churn of the boat passing through it. But the viscosity is far beyond what you would expect from water.
Right.
As you're doing this, though, Lena, you watch maybe 3-4 inches away from your own, where your own hand is dunked down into the water. You see something emerge from the surf, as you see a oil-covered hand just reach up from below the surface of the water, turn, and then just retreat back underneath the surface. Maybe you could
Lena is
go
gonna shock, sort of
scramble
like
back.
scramble back. Petra, did you see?
I did. I did. And Petra will attempt to grab it, assuming she's not going to be able to, but she'll like attempt to see, like, as it was coming up, if she could grab it before it kind of went back down again.
You want to try? Sure. I would say quick for sure. And probably athletics. And I'm actually going to say a bust on this because you were kind of holding on to Lena. That's what we said in the fiction. I know you didn't accept it, but I'm going to say it anyway. But I think it makes sense. Is you're going to try to reach past her. So athletics, quick with a bust.
If
This
this
is gonna work.
does not work,
You
I
got
will
this.
try to grab you.
You got this. Snake eyes, you fall over and you die.
It's 2d6s. So
You got this.
mathematically, I'm not too hopeful. No.
any-
That's a
you have-
7. So even the ace wouldn't help me, unfortunately.
Okay. So you reach out to grab it. And what I'll say with this 7 is like you get like fingertips touch. Okay. But you're not able to fully grab it before it dips back into the blackened water. And it felt solid. Like it felt like it was a hand, and it felt slippery and oily, like the way oil would feel. But it quickly dips beneath the surface.
And very clearly a human hand. Yes.
I mean, it had 5 digits, thumb, 4 fingers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Was it possible to see if it was like male or female? Like, did it have like longer nails, or was it a little bit, kind of like thicker
you didn't notice
build?
It didn't look like it was a flamboyantly decorated hand. So, and it was covered in oil. So I would say you're probably unable to get too precise with it.
We're not fast enough. Just not fast enough. But that was a hand in the water.
What is going on?
I don't. Should we recommend that perhaps the captain do a roll call of everyone who should be on board and see if anyone's missing?
That's a very good idea.
I don't want to take a swim in that again. That is quite disgusting.
No. And looking at it, Jeff, does it have that kind of... Does it look like murky water, or does it specifically look like oil that it has that kind of like translucent, like...
It looks like thousands of barrels of crude oil has spilled into the water.
Okay.
And so the water has become black and somewhat opaque. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Lena agrees wholeheartedly with Petra.
Okay.
We should get the captain involved.
And so you would know that he would probably be up in the wheelhouse. The last you saw him, that's probably where he would spend the most part of his time, which is up by the promenade. So do you start heading back up?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's check in with Dora. Dora, you found your chair. You're sitting right out in front. And you hear some voices occasionally coming and going. You hear like the subtle, like this, like almost like shouting, like people are arguing vaguely. You can't quite make out exactly what they're saying, but you can hear like some voices yelling at one another. And then it fades. And then there's like this, because it was like this permanent, like level of arguing for a few minutes, when they fade, it's very, very quiet all of a sudden. And that's when you notice and you hear a different sound begin to manifest. And we'll say this happens over the course of this is like instant, like time is passing.
Yeah.
But you hear a drip, 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 to the point where it becomes irritating. It's just there, or like boring into your brain. A drip, 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 drip. You look around, and you don't see an immediate, there's nothing on the floor, there's no puddles or anything on the floor. What do you do?
Can I tell where it's coming from?
Do you get up and start looking around?
Yeah, I think she would check first in Chas's room.
I would say you would in Cass. I would say you're pretty sure it's coming from the hall somewhere, because it doesn't have like a muffled sound. If it was coming from Kaz's room, the door behind you, because the door's closed, it would be muffled somewhat. But you hear it; it's very clear, and it's not muffled, like it's not behind a wall or anything like that. It's probably in the hall.
Okay. She's not really gonna care if he fires her or not, because he's fired her like 3 times already. She's gonna knock loudly on the door. Sir, I need to investigate. Don't open your door until Mere Goblin comes back.
And you hear, I understand. You're fired.
That's fine. I'll find you a replacement, hun. And then she'll go and...
Okay. All right. So you start like poking around looking around this hall. And if you remember from last week, when you were coming up and you were moving around and you were like carrying these trunks, there's a lot of like decorative paintings in the halls here and there, and there's like 1 or 2 that was also in his quarters. But you start to see them, and they're all very sort of absurdist and surreal in some cases. Like you can just see they're cartoonish, and in some cases cartoonishly like violent and silly looking. They just look ridiculous. And you're like passing by a few of them, and you catch like this smell. And for a minute you think maybe your hands are like covered in the oil from the crows, because it is that same kind of pungent, that crude smell of like oil. And then you hear drip, 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 and you look over and you see there's a small like line of oil that's snaking out from behind one of these paintings. And as you're watching it, as you look at it, you can see it's very liquidy. It's just kind of pasted on the wall. You watch, it forms like a droplet, and then the droplet falls upwards. When you look up at the ceiling, you can see on the ceiling there is this patch of black, where as you watch, one by one, drip, these little droplets form from behind the painting, fall upward, and smash against the ceiling.
Now what in the... And she's gonna rip the painting off the wall.
Okay. Let's see. So the one you pull off, it looks like this almost like a mermaid-like figure, but like in a hideous, absurdist way. Like you can see it's like a fish person almost, and they don't have like a tail, but they have like feet, and you can see they have like this blue discoloration. I'm showing the image on the overlay. Hopefully Steven can show you as well. And like there's these big kind of floppy ears and like sagging breasts that are like over top of what looks to be like a barrel, and they're holding up like a goblet and like a wine glass, and it just look and like they're spilling wine out of the barrel itself. And it takes no effort for you to pull this down. It's sturdy, like because they don't want it sloshing around, but you can very easily pry it. It just takes a second or two.
Yeah.
And you take it down, you feel like it creak, like the resistance from where it's adhered to the wall, and you set it down, and you see behind it that small little line and puddle that was outside of the frame on the wall. You see that it connects to what looks like this large smear of oil right in the center behind this painting. Does not seem to be any source or any explanation for where it was coming from.
So Dorovix, she can talk to people. She's not necessarily like our brightest rock in the barrel. So she's gonna punch it.
You're gonna punch the painting, or you're gonna punch the wall?
No, the smear of oil upon the wall. It doesn't make sense to her. It's floating to the ceiling. This is bizarre.
That's how you make things stop. You just hit it.
That's how Dora makes things stop. She beats it.
That is perfect.
roll brawl test to punch it in a way that's not going to hurt you. If you fail this, you're going to take a minor injury from like busting your hand in terms of punching it.
Okay, so I'm gonna say it's
punch
grit.
the oil spill.
Yeah.
It's so good.
So
It's so
it's
good.
gonna be a D12 plus a
Okay.
D10.
You got this. No problem.
She does not. 8.
She does not.
Do you
Unless
wanna
you want to spend an
spend-
ace.
An ace?
Well,
not take-
wait. This is not.
That'll get it to a 10.
Yeah, just spend an
athletics
ace.
check. Never mind.
You've got
yeah,
plenty.
I'll
You've got
spend
3
an
aces.
ace. That's fine.
Okay.
I was checking one of my things to see if it does anything.
Mostly, I was just saying if you failed it, I was going to say you're going to hit a stud, and if you don't, that's basically what I was going to say. So you reach back and you punch, and
Yeah.
you punch through the wall. And as you pull your fist back, which is now partially covered in this oil,
Yeah.
you can see you have put a hole in the wall that appears to be looking into someone's cabin.
Yeah, whose room is this? Because they must have done this witchcraft bullshit.
Okay, when you look inside, you can see that there is, I say you can peer in. You notice it appears to be a man's chambers. There's some nice looking but dark suits that have been hung on this little rung. I would say you might recognize at least the cut of the suit because they're not colorful. They're all very stark and serious and professional. Like, you think they look maybe like the suits that belonged to the man with the cane that you've seen a few times. Maybe his.
Oh, that gentleman I spoke to, the older man.
No, that was the doctor. This is a
I
kind of a
see.
well-dressed older man. He had a cane. Didn't seem like he really
Yeah.
needed it. It was more like an affectation.
He bumped into me in the hallway.
He bumped into you in the hall. Yeah. And now you put a
Okay.
hole in his cabin. So honestly, you guys are even.
Retribution has been served for now.
Yeah.
Is he in the room?
Let's see.
Not only do you punch a hole in the wall, you peek through the hole that you punched in the wall.
As you're peeking through, you see a face like it's an eclipse comes across the hole, and you see the stern looking face of the man. He is older, 50s maybe, well groomed. You can tell that like this is a man who takes care of his appearance, but he's not flamboyant and obnoxious about it in the manner that Cass is, but he has just a very stern and serious looking face. And he says, "My dear, can I help you with something?"
You look like a smart man. Did you do this? And she's gonna
No.
motion for him to come out, and she points at the ceiling.
He's going to say, before following, I say, "No, my dear, it was you who decided inexplicably to put a hole in the wall of my chambers."
Oh, apologies.
I
When
must
things are
warn you
weird.
That is a defamation of property, and that could net you a significant amount of jail time, if not a significant fine.
Oh, there are weirder things happening right now. Can you explain this out here in the hall?
So you hear him moving about a bit. Door opens, and you see him come around. And again, he's dressed in his dark clothes, suit, professional. And he looks, "What is it I'm looking at?"
And she points up at like the puddle of oil on the ceiling.
"Well, isn't that perplexing?"
Were you
this-
up on the promenade this morning?
"I was indeed.
So you were there when the attack occurred?
I was fortunate enough to leave shortly before it happened. I have heard since then what had transpired. It sounds quite alarming. You yourself seems to have suffered a few cuts and bruises. I would be happy to attribute this incident to perhaps a concussion of some sort, perhaps a head injury.
Yeah.
That would probably work very well in your favor. Get the sympathy of the judge, who's going to be on trial for your incident here.
I
To
see.
be on your side, take sympathy, and maybe lessen some of the charges.
I see. Well, so you missed the attack out on the promenade. When did you leave? Just right
Shortly
before it happened?
I ate my breakfast. I went upstairs to get a breath of fresh air, not that the air was fresh at all this morning. And then I retired down to one of the lounges to smoke a wonderful cigar and drink a little bit of morning brandy. Why do I feel as though I am being cross-examined here? You are the one who performed a crime, not I.
Oh, I'm just trying to figure out what's up with all this oil everywhere.
Well, it is a very curious mystery. However, I have solved one of those mysteries. It is you who has put a hole in my wall.
That's true.
Rest assured,
And
I
you
will
are
speak with the captain and the first mate about this.
Oh, I will as well. That's no problem. I will admit my wrongs.
Well, that is good to hear. Now, is there something else I can help you with?
No, but thank you. If I are you a lawyer then, or you seem very intelligent?
I see you do not know who I am. It must mean
I
you have a very
apologize.
clean record. That is good to hear. That will help you whenever this crime gets litigated. I'd say legislated. That ain't right. My name is Ezra Holston, and yes, I was in fact a lawyer. In fact, I was a judge. Still am, in fact.
Oh, that's lovely. Where are you a judge located?
I'm relocated now, as many folk on this steamboat are, to King City.
Fantastic. Is that a pay increase for you, sir?
Is that a pay increase? I go where justice needs me. Apparently, King City is just bereft of any sort of decency and order. I aim to bring it.
I spoke with Miss Mabel. She's a mortician. She's the other very tall woman on this ship with us, and
No,
she's
I'm
also
familiar with her.
She's heading over as well, just because the last one just fled, left his post.
Oh, that is very wonderful. I very much enjoy engaging in gossip with a person who has just put a hole in the wall of my chambers. Is there any more information about the various passengers on this ship that you might care to share with me right now?
Oh, no, sir. Apologies for taking your time.
Apology accepted. Now, if you please, I'm very tired. He kind of turns
All right.
back. And before he goes into his chambers, if you'd be so kind, do not put additional holes in my wall and perhaps hang that painting once more so I can get some privacy.
Yes, sir. And she's already putting the painting back up to cover the hole. And she does kind of walk away to like give him peace of mind, but she does watch to see if the oil continues to drip up or not, or if it stops.
Doesn't seem to have stopped, and the whole conversation never stops.
Oh yeah, that's stressing her out. So she'll go back to sit, but she's
Okay.
like watching like a hawk.
All right, let's check in with Lullaby. Lullaby, you are the first person back up to the promenade. You can see there's not that many people left here. As you might imagine, events of the day have caused others to find better places to spend their afternoons. You do see that there's Captain Carrington and some of his crew that are cleaning up. You can see the crewmates are kind of sweeping up a lot of the feathers and the crows and things like that, and scrubbing down some of the walls and the railings. Everything's white, remember? And so, like, it's very clear what's dirty, and they're doing their best to keep things clean. You can also tell that they're attempting to replace or at least remove the fractured and shattered glass of the wheelhouse so that they can get a better view. And so you can see Captain Carrington is there. You can see there are two other people, one of whom you recognize from yesterday when you first got on the ship. Woman in maybe her 40s or so, looks like a prospector, hard living. You can tell like her skin is all sunburned and leathery, and she was the one that kind of bumped into Kaz and made a joke. And then you can see off in the corner there is like a skittish man He almost looks like he's just kind of clinging to the railing a bit as he's looking around and constantly like kind of looking over his shoulder as if he's waiting for more crows to come down from the sky. So what would you be doing up here, Lullaby? What do you want to do?
I would track the cleaning crew, see how the crows congregated, get an idea of maybe if they're going after something or it's just sporadic attack.
Okay. You would probably, I mean, it's pretty total. Like, it looks like there's no specific pattern that you're able to glean at this point. Maybe it's just because they've like swept some stuff up and everything here and there. But effectively, they just had to work their way down. They started with the promenade, and that's where the bulk of the attack seemed to happen. Then there was a little bit on the third deck, on some of the balconies, and then a little bit more on deck 2, and then even more down on deck 1. But most of it was up here. You would also notice that on some of the smokestacks, there's some very clear splotches where maybe they kind of smashed into there here and there. And you even notice that there's like a residue or discoloration that's kind of dripping or starting to motion down some of those 2 stacks. But otherwise, no real pattern you can discern.
Then I would speak to the skittish man that seems a little scattered.
Okay.
May I share your worries?
What? Oh, yes. I beg your pardon. I was just worried. I don't like the inside very much, but I'd rather not be aerially attacked today again. I saw you earlier helping. Very kind of you to help strangers.
It is what I do.
Did you?
I also
No,
prefer the outside.
Yes. Nature, the air, the stars, the moon. Yeah. Are better than the lacquered woods, and the polished metals, and the velvets, and the carpets. With the smells of these folk just fester. Far better out here. Yes.
They are sending us a message this morning.
Oh.
This land is
sent
cursed.
This land? Well, all land is cursed in its own way. Curses are very difficult to be rid of once they are taken. Tell me, when you were looking around, did you happen to see a knife? I seem to have misplaced mine. It's about this big. It's
Did
made
Lena
from
ever
bone.
share that she had a knife out of nowhere? don't
I
remember.
doubt that.
Okay.
I doubt Lena would have said anything. No.
Certainly didn't.
Yeah.
I did not see one, but I will keep an eye.
Thank you. What is your name?
My clan
Should I
calls me
call you?
Lullaby.
Lullaby. I am Lupe. It is honored to make your acquaintance.
I shall call you friend. Friend Lupe.
You see, like, he kind of like leans back.
So quickly.
Are we not friends now?
I will be honest with you, Lullaby. I have not had many friends of late. It is a foreign thing to me.
Well, we are spending 4 more days on the Divine Comedy. I am now your friend.
Yes. 4 days and nights. Well, Lullaby, then if you call me friend, I will call you it as well. Yes.
You remember the last time you saw your knife?
It was yesterday. I was looking for it last night. I needed it. I could not find it. I was here on the promenade. I think perhaps I must have dropped it. It is worth very little. I do not see why anyone would have stolen it, but I suppose that is possible as well.
Does it have meaning to you, or is it replaceable?
It was made from the bones of... Well, it was made from bones of someone who was important to me. But it is lost, just as they were. I will find another.
I will see you around, friend.
Yes.
And as you go to turn it,
Lullaby. Be careful. There is a foulness.
just kind of nods.
I'm not backing up.
And as you start to pull away, we see behind you Lena and Petra come up from the stairs right as he's trying to find his knife. And see, they walk over to the wheelhouse where you see Captain Carrington. And he's barking some orders here and there. And he's like, no,
More quickly, these folks today are very, we're going to have to do something a little bit more grand. Speak with who's the one? Lemieux. Get him to unpack his cello. We shall have a music with dinner this evening. And tell the cook something with meat. Something fancy. Yes.
And you see a couple crewmen just sort of scamper away, carrying those orders. And then he sees the two of you come up.
Oh, how is your day following the events? Is it
no better?
Improved?
No better. You've perhaps noticed the state of the water. It is not swimmable today. It is quite oil slicked, and there was a human hand in the water.
What is that? You'll say there is a human hand in the water.
It came up out of the water and then drifted off. We attempted.
Water itself is not water.
I've seen, something about the water. It's filth. There's oil in it. It's as if there's a spill, but there is not a rig for miles. It makes no sense, I will be honest. But we can course through it nonetheless. This hand, did you see someone fall?
No,
is there someone overboard?
No. It came out of the water, it was under the water to begin with.
Are you certain?
Yes.
Quite. We both saw it.
And he starts
And
quickly
Petra touched
firing
it.
orders.
It's fine, Mr. Swinson, we need a head count.
And he just sees starts rapid firing, calling out these different orders to various crew that are cleaning, and they drop the bags or they're sweeping utensils and stuff, and then they just start running around. And
we shall do a head count immediately. Is there anything else? Is there anything else that you saw? Did you hear a voice? Was there anyone down there with you? Are your party accounted for?
They seem to be before, but Mr. Dubs was the only other passenger we saw, and
Mr. Dubs.
he must
Mr.
have
Dubs.
just been.
Hiram.
He was coming up as we were
Hiram.
going down.
Go check Mr. Dubs' quarters. Make sure he is accounted for. And he's like, yes, sir, of course, sir. And he kind of runs out.
That was all we came to tell you. It seems that you have everything covered.
We are very sorry for this incident.
And he kind of like motions you over and away from some of his crew, the two of you. And Lullaby, you're up here, so if you want to as well, you can join in on this.
Yeah, of course.
And your charge, Mr. Thamer, is he accounted for? Is he well?
Yes, he is in his quarters.
We are aware that he is under threat. I doubt that crows becoming lost in the clouds and the smoke is any attack on him, but if there is someone that has been thrown overboard, that is alarming.
Indeed, very much so. Quite the extravagance if you're looking to take out one man. It seems like a knife to the back would be the quick way to do it. I don't know about all of this theatricality.
Well, I don't know much about the Covenant, but I know that they are very motivated against Mr. Thamer and his company. I would think that, yes, a knife in the back or a dose of poison in the food would be a more likely way to assassinate the gentleman. I trust that you all are taking steps then to protect him. Should something befall him, it would not just be consequences fallen on you, but on myself and the rest of the crew of the Divine Comedy. If there's anything we can do to assist, considering the events, I shall make sure my crew is at your disposal, Mr. Swenson, as well. Do not let his gruff exterior delay any requests of him. He will do what he's told.
What might you be able to tell us about the Covenant? While he pays well, he does not share much in the way of details.
Well, I know what everyone knows. They are radicals. They are against progress. Technology is evil, apparently. This very boat, I would imagine, itself is to advance for them. So they seek to revert us back to a more primitive state. Anyhow, I only know what the family has informed me.
So they would be motivated to cause damage to your ship and perhaps reputation?
Yes, I suppose, but my name and the boat's name is far smaller in comparison to the Thamer or to the Shula Company. I am but a speck, a smallest of cogs in a much larger machine. Bigger of those cogs being the Shula Company, and we are merely contracted. We are not part, specifically, of their organization.
You can keep the water beast running to King City.
Yes.
City.
Yes.
That will help us greatly.
I can assure you I can't. Are you young? Old? You are very peculiar. But yes, we will take care of this. Rest assured.
And if your crew can keep your eye out.
Sorry, go ahead, Colin.
My new friend Lupe, he lost a dagger. If your crew can find it and give it to him.
Missing dagger in the scuffle with the crows this morning.
Yes, it is possible.
I will get the word out. Yes. Miss Lena, you had a question.
But that's happy for the
Grin.
distraction. For the
Grin
drummer.
going wide.
I think the immediate knowing what the headcount of passengers are and making sure everybody is okay, that is important right now. If anyone is not, then we know who to start questioning.
Okay.
Where to start.
Okay. We could say that we can, if we're just waiting for the head count to be completed, do you all want to assist in that? Do you want to assist in kind of going and knocking on doors, making sure everyone's accounted for?
Yeah, make it quicker.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So that would probably make it go a little bit faster. So we'll say first mate Swenson comes up. He's the one who's in charge of like rosters and knowing who is on board. So you can see he pulls out effectively like a clipboard filled with names of all the crew, names of all the passengers, where all these people would be staying, like where everyone should be. And so he kind of organizes it, and he's very rude about it all. Like he never says please, he never says thank you. He just tells people what to do. He's like, yo first deck, you first class, you second class, and take these ones with you. Yeah, sure. And he just kind of barks. And then eventually, like, his orders just turn into like, and everyone seems to know what they're supposed to do as all the various crewmen go. And you just kind of, each of you, like, kind of follow and go to, like, a different quadrant of the third deck. The third deck is where most of the passengers, and maybe he pushes that on you, while the rest of them are kind of doing their self-check. Some of them are heading off to the engine room, unless you guys want to go elsewhere. That's fine, too. Like, the engine room, the boiler, making sure whoever's working down there is where they're supposed to be, the kitchens and such. Okay, so as you all split up, start looking around. At some point, Lullaby, after you finish like checking, you knocked on a door, and opening up the door, you saw the man who, the one we've been talking to with Lena, Richard. You can see he opens the door. He's got his beautiful gun on his waist, and you kind of check in with him, and you can tell the whole time his hand never leaves his gun. And so Lullaby, as you're at the door, he's like, what can I do for you, sir?
Hello, we are making sure you are okay.
I'm fine, thank you very much. You interrupted my afternoon rest. Now, if you don't mind, I would like to get back to it.
Please make sure you're arrested.
I would be able to do that much better if you would depart the premises.
I am just checking if you're okay. That is all.
We have covered this already. I feel like we're in some strange theatrical loop where we're just making jokes over and over again.
I do not need to bother you. Please get your rest.
I am trying to get my rest, but you're still standing in my doorway, sir. And he like grips the gun a little tighter. Enough of these pleasantries. Get out of here.
Mr. Richmond is accounted for. Turn to the others.
Okay, so you turn around, start walking down. You go down to the next cabin. Lullaby. As you do so, you're like checking, you're knocking, you open a door, someone waves, checking, knocking. You hear a whisper from behind you. Like someone. When you turn your head around, you see the hallway is completely empty. Give me a education test. See how much of maybe you just were able to discern of that. So, education.
What attribute are we going with?
Reckon, I think, makes the most sense.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Double D8s. I got an 8, but I'll spend my first ace to make my first pass.
Do you have a second ace?
I don't.
Okay. The whisper, you feel like you maybe caught it at like the beginning of a sentence or something, but then like as you turned is when the whisper kind of faded. And you recognize, and like what you could tell was like it was a different language. It certainly wasn't like the common language that all of you are speaking. God damn it! So I'm gonna give it a try because it's I suck at this. It's due cose si convengono alle essenze. That's the only way I can say like Italian if I say it like it's a Roman Catholic priest. That's not what it sounded like, but that was sort of like you heard. Due cose si convengono alle sense. And then it kind of faded from there. But you felt like there was more, but as you turned, you kind of lost the rest of it. So that's the phrase that you were able to hear.
Do my best to remember for now.
Okay. And yeah, I would say you... judging from how you've been playing Lullaby, but you're welcome to make a case, I don't think you would speak this language. It's like an Italian or a Latin or something like that. So if you want to make a case that Lullaby would know that, I'm happy to hear that case. Otherwise, trying to translate it would probably take another task from you somewhere else.
I wouldn't really know other languages.
Okay. So, let's see, who else? Dora. Have you been hanging around this whole time? Have you just been hanging around and that's it?
Yeah, pretty much.
All right. You hear at a certain point... Oh, God! What is this? And you just hear, like, from behind you, inside the cabin, the presidential suite. You hear Cass just starts to like rapidly cough and hack and like curse and swear.
Oh yeah, she just goes in.
And you see he is like over by what looks like this plush velvet couch, and he's got a bottle of wine and he's got a beautiful goblet, and he is like spitting and currently in the process of trying to retch. He's like putting his finger down his throat and he's trying to retch whatever's in
they're trying to poison me, tall woman. They're trying to poison me.
What do you do?
And she'll rush and get him something else to...
Okay.
She'll try and help him throw up, I guess.
What does that look like, Ashley? Please
so at
describe
first
for me in
it
vivid
starts
detail.
with like Dora is like hammering kind of on his back, like a baby trying to
Take
help
the
him
hammer
burp.
out.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
I
her
got you, I
hand.
got
She's
you.
a Goliath. She's a big ass woman.
Okay.
So, and then
I'm just
not a
imagining
baby,
like
I'm
drunk
trying to
girls
burp.
in the bathroom.
Yeah. If he had long hair, you're pulling his mustache back.
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And then she's gonna look in the goblet. Like, what does she see in the goblet?
You see it looks like wine. It's a little darker. It's red wine, and it's got a very dark tinge to it. But when you look in and you sniff it, it definitely has like an odor to it. It doesn't have aromas that you would commonly associate with wine. Like there's no fruity smell to it or anything like that. In fact, it almost smells like an engine, like an engine room. It has that kind of smell to it.
Okay. Let's refrain from drinking the rest of your alcoholic beverages here. They appear to be tainted.
Water. Get me water, tall woman. Water. Water.
Yeah, and she'll...
Water!
Okay. And so you hand over the canteen, and he goes, "Oh, thank goodness." And he starts like spitting that.
Oh, you tried to poison me too. And like if I had a pistol, I would draw it on you. Is this some sort of joke to you, tall woman? What is wrong with you?
As he starts like coughing and spitting.
Yeah, okay, something, and she's gonna pour out her canteen, like into
pour
the
it out.
goblet.
Yeah, there's maybe like you find the second goblet and you pour it into the second, and you see maybe we'll say it's like crystal, like thick crystal goblets, right?
Yeah.
So you can see it, and you see that it's not fully transparent the way water should be, like there is like there's a darkening to the water. It's as if like a bit of ink or something like that has been mixed in it. And much like the wine, it has this odor, this pungent odor to it.
That's not what I filled my canteen with.
Well, whoever filled your canteen clearly was trying to poison me because they knew that I would go to you, so therefore they poisoned you. Very shrewd. These assassins. Far shrewder than I would give them credit for.
Okay. Yeah. There's a lot of weird happening right now, sir.
What's happening right now is I am firing you. How dare you let such filth touch the tongue of a Thema? Wipe my tongue.
And he like sticks his tongue out. It's like coated in nastiness. What do you do, Dora? You don't have to do that. I was just joking.
Sir, what haven't you told us about the covenant? Why exactly? What did you do? Was it something with oil that you pissed him off with, or?
You're blaming me. I'm the one here getting poisoned. Why? I did nothing.
Blame is the wrong word. Why do they want to assassinate you?
Why does anyone want to assassinate anyone? Because they're jealous, they're envious of our success, they're envious of the progress that my company and my family is making. Of course, this is the reason why. Ooh, that burns. Ooh, oh, goodness.
Do you want some of your caviar, sir, to get rid of the taste?
Oh, excellent idea.
And he goes like fiddling with it. Oh, yeah. He opens up a tin. It's empty. Fetch me another.
She'll get a new one and she'll pop it open first before she gives it to make sure there's not oil in it.
Just a bunch of like these beautiful roux, like all these little baby
no oil in
fish
this
eggs.
one, sir. I checked.
Oh, excellent. He just starts like inhaling it. Oh, yes.
Whew, good. I feel better. Thank you, tall woman. You are rehired.
Thank you.
Now, what were these questions you're asking me? What was this?
I was wondering, was there anything to do with oil that upset the covenant?
Oil makes the world go round, tall woman. It is the very blood that ensures machinery and factories and everything continues to motion through the world. So, yes, of course, oil has something to do with everything. Don't be foolish.
You know, the birds that attacked us, their bellies were filled with oil.
They were birds. More than likely, they just happened to get caught up in a spill somewhere and sipped and ate away. Or perhaps the Covenant is trying to poison them as well, just like me. And they were... No, probably the first theory. The second one sounds ludicrous.
Okay, yeah. Well, we should find out if the rest of the crew has investigated and found anything additional.
Yes, that's an excellent idea. Fetch my fifth suit, please. I want to wear something fresh for dinner.
Okay. And what color is your fifth suit?
Oh, it is a plum. Beautiful plum.
Oh, gorgeous. And she'll...
What happened to your voice there? Are you
it went
mocking me?
away.
Okay. So we'll say you managed to help him not choke anymore. He downs like a can of caviar and takes another. And then you get him in his new suit. The rest of you have been going around and checking in, and you have found no one is missing. All crew, according to Swenson, the first mate, is accounted for. You all have been going through the various cabins, all the passengers. No passengers are reported missing. All of the manifests seem to be good to go.
Could we specifically ask about what happens when we go knock on the door of Mr. Dubs?
Sure. You knock on the door of Mr. Dubs. Okay. Door eventually opens, and you can see when it does, Mr. Dubs is there, and he looks a little disheveled. If you recall, he's a sort of stocky guy, a little touch overweight, maybe one might say. Barrel-chested is another way of putting it. And he has this like well-groomed, well-oiled, glistening goatee and everything. You can tell when he opens the door that he seems a little different. Like he might not have shaved that morning, and you can see there's a little bit of stubble growing. You can see that his goatee, which is normally fixed to this beautiful point, is a little bit off kilter, like his head has been laying in one direction. He hasn't quite fixed it. His hair is kind of matted on one side. And he's still in his clothes from before, so he has like these feathers and little chunks of blood here and there. It doesn't look like he's changed, but he opens the door.
Hello, Miss Mermaid. Can I help you?
Yes, just wanted to check and see how you were doing. You were not looking so well earlier. If I must say, you don't look much better
no one
now.
was looking well, I think. As you can expect after such an incident. So, I appreciate your concern. I'm fine. But thank you. I will simply, I just needed a good nap. I will be at dinner though, I promise. And I owe you an apology for, I believe I snapped at you earlier. I was just in a state of panic. It is, I apologize.
Oh, it's quite okay. You might not have recalled this from our earlier conversation, but I do actually have a bit of medical training. Perhaps I could assist in getting you a little bit back on your feet.
Well, I don't want to impose.
Oh no, it's fine. We're here to make sure that everyone is doing okay, and having you on your feet, healthy and well, would be to everyone's benefit.
Oh, I suppose, yes. Of course. Come in, please. Have a seat.
And he's in a second-class cabin, so it's not the greatest. Like yours, you have those bunks and things like that. It's kind of that size. So there's like a seat in the corner that you can kind of sit in, and he sits on the edge of the bed. Lena, are you with Lullaby? Are you with?
No, I would have liked to go look at after
We split the party.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Okay, so you sit down. Petra, one of the things you notice, you can see his luggage is not as grandiose and as voluminous as your charge. But you do see it's sprawled open, and you can see some of his clothes and such are, like, you could tell, like, they're a little bit disheveled. But you also notice that there is this leather-wrapped bundle. And when you look at it, you turn at the corner of your eyes, you can see all these different, like, knives and cleavers and various other metallic blades seem to be nestled within it. But he sits down. He doesn't even close it. He just doesn't really even seem to care. He sits down and he's like, I just don't know what came over me. I just, I'm very sorry. Normally I have much better self-control. Now, perhaps some sort of head injury.
Yes, sure. And she'll go about some sort of physical examination just to try to see what she may be able to observe with him.
Sure. Give me that bush. Let's just make it like a heal test, I guess. So let's do like what, bushcraft with quick.
So for me,
you're doing first aid basically. So just do bushcraft and quick.
Yeah. So education for me.
Yeah.
Yep. And then can I do reckon?
Is that what your skill says to do?
No, it just identifies it as education instead of bushcraft. It doesn't identify which attribute goes with it. So okay. I was just thinking if it was sort of like
quick is specifically for first aid. but Stephen can correct me if I'm wrong. Are you trying to help him, or are you just more trying to like take stock of what might ail him?
I guess the latter, with the goal of the former.
So both is what you're saying. Okay, yeah. Yeah, go ahead and roll Rick. That's fine. Educate Rick, and that's fine.
Okay. All right. D10, D12. Let's see. There we go. All right, that's a 12 on a D12 and an 8 on a D10. So that is a 20.
And you got like, that's 4 aces. Do you want to burn them all right now and bump your weird die?
I already bumped it up to a D12, so I maxed.
Oh wait, is weird max at D12?
No, it's maxed. Yeah, it's maxed at D12. So I see how many.
Crazy.
Right. So I just bank the max.
Okay. I mean, you could just
pieces.
toss a couple in here, sweeten the pot, basically get some more information or something like that. We can play it that way. Okay. So
I'll toss one in for that.
Well, first of all, you notice that much like yourself, he does have a contusion on his head. So it certainly looks as though he might have suffered a similar fate as you.
Okay.
You notice like maybe he like takes his jacket off and like rolls his sleeves up or something like that, or if you're kind of checking in on him, it's all very untoward, to be honest. And you he has a lot of scars, like a lot of scars, slashes, cuts, stabs. In some cases they seem too measured and too perfect, like they were intentionally cut there, like some here, and they don't seem to be bothering him right now. Like they're not like bleeding, but they're just scars. And he has some other superficial wounds. You can see like much like Lullaby, a couple pecks here and there and scrapes and such. All of which is easily enough. You can tell one of them, the back of his neck, was the one that was probably bothering him the most. And when you look down at his linens, you can tell that there's like a stain of like this red-brown where he had kind of bled into his pillow. But that is something you'll probably be able to fix without issue. Maybe you do a quick stitch or something like that.
Yes. We'll need to get this one. I can see why you wouldn't be able to reach it back here. I'll just get this taken care of. And she'll say as non-judgmentally as she can. It doesn't seem that you are a stranger to the sharp end of a blade.
Oh yes. I thought I told you.
Keep forgetting which voice I used for him. Let's do a southern one. I keep forgetting we're doing western voices. I forgot I didn't tell you. Oh, I'm a butcher. That's my trade. I fix meats and such for folk and butcher pigs and various other livestock. So it's, every now and then, blade gets slipped and hands get covered in too much blood and you're unable to keep the meat from sliding.
Sure. The butcher, that explains the... And he hadn't tried to hide the knives, so she'll say, well, that would explain the collection that you have there.
That's my tools over there. Yeah, I'm heading up to King City. I just kind of want to get a fresh start, just a fresh start.
That does seem to be quite the theme of the folks that are here, leaving some such things behind, and I sure do hope that King City has what everyone is hoping it does.
Well, that's fair. I tell you, one thing it doesn't have is the past. And he's very proud of himself for that line. Kind of nods, waits for you to respond, gets disappointed when you don't seem impressed by it. Oh, what I meant to say was,
I don't have history there. And
Yeah,
that alone
indeed.
makes it an attractive destination.
Yes, it does not have the past there.
Yes.
Oh, just about done here with this.
Jeez.
Need to request some fresh linens for the evening.
Oh, it's fine. I've slept many a night with that iron odor of blood. In fact, it actually makes it a bit more comfortable. I realize that probably sounds very strange to you, ma'am, but I assure you I mean nothing nefarious by it.
Oh, sure. I the line of work that I do are not opposed to the sights of blood and all of that, but
you're a healer then.
Yes.
Well, isn't that something? A healer and a killer butcher like myself, meeting like this. Becoming friends even. Yeah.
That I was afraid that our friendship from yesterday seemed to have dulled in the light of a new day when we were
as I
upstairs
said,
this morning.
I'm very sorry about that, ma'am. It's just a what do they call it? A temporary insanity or something like that. Brought on by the trauma of the morning.
You were upstairs when all of that happened?
Well, yes, ma'am. I was trying my darndest to help folk, help them folk not get stabbed and cut by them birds.
Yeah. You seemed like you'd maybe taken one or two out. She's recalling the blood on the knife.
I think I might have. I think I might have. I'll be honest with you. I kind of lost myself a bit in the fray, and it took me until I had a good lie down to come back to my senses.
Were you attempting to rinse your blade off in the water on the lower deck?
Oh, no, ma'am. The blood stays on the blade.
All right, then you were not down on the lower deck for refreshing the blade, as it were, then.
Not this morning, ma'am, no.
Were you looking for someone in particular down there?
No, ma'am, I was merely referencing yesterday when I saw you swim like a fish.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday. Oh, it was such a lighter day. Yesterday was time to take a swim in the afternoon before dinner. What a different day yesterday was.
It does seem a bit overcast today, doesn't it?
What? You know what I heard is that they are going to have a very lovely dinner tonight. Something with meat.
Oh, excellent. I hope it's a good cut.
I believe that it very likely would be. I do need to continue my head count, as it were, and make sure that everyone else is
of course,
counted
ma'am.
for.
Of course. Do you need some help with that?
You know what? I think that you... And she's looking over to the other knives again to see, like, is there blood on, like, all of the knives that are in the...
They're all wrapped up, but they definitely have a tarnished look to them, the bits that you can see.
And at this point, she is politely moving her way towards the door of his cabin.
Okay.
It's like a step and a half away. It's not that far. It's small. Okay. You just bump into it awkwardly.
I do believe
Bang your head
that,
again. Get a second concussion in a very short period of time. You're really not going to be able to play in the NFL for the next couple of weeks. You're going to be out for a while. Concussion protocol.
I am thankful that we are going to have a very delicious dinner tonight. I will be anxious to hear your thoughts on the butchering of whatever it is that we will be eating, and I will continue on my counting way, as it were.
I look forward to seeing you this evening.
Oh yes, pleasure will be all mine. As she backs out of the door.
And you get out just fine. Lena, you wanted to check with Sybil. You find her.
That's right.
She is also in first class. She is probably on the other side of you. She has a exterior room, whereas you and your fellow Mavericks have an interior, meaning no windows or anything like that. But she doesn't have as grand a suite as Cass, but it's nice. You rap on the door, and you see she opens it in her stark black attire, and she. It looks like you've woken her up. She definitely kind of has like a daze about her, and she said, "Oh, hello, ma'am. Is dinner ready already?"
Not for a little bit, I don't think. I was just making sure you're okay, but
I thought I heard the bell.
To get some sleep.
Oh, yes, I did. It was such a frightful morning.
It was. Were you were able to get out okay then?
I was on the balcony of just outside here, and then they came raining down, and oh, it was just terrible. But no, I'm unharmed. But thank you so very much for your concern. That's very kind of you. Unlike some of the other folk, have you noticed there's a bit of some folks feel a little ornery today? I understand events being what they are, but...
Yes, I thought perhaps it was just this morning's events, but
it very well could be. Could be something in the water too. Who knows?
So, you haven't seen anyone from last night this morning then, or have you? And that's where we'll have been ornery.
I'm sorry. I saw Richard. He was very he was very irritable and threatening even. Well, not so much as threatening, just very...
Threatening?
He was very obsessive about his gun. As if anyone cared. I believe he's probably compensating for something. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say such things. And you can see, but I so enjoy doing so. And who else? Yeah, and who else was there?
The laughter.
And that judge, well, that fella thinks he is just the Lord's gift, doesn't he?
What judge?
You didn't meet him.
And she gives you a brief description of a person you've seen. At this point, you're probably familiar with.
Right.
Mr. Holstein. Oh, what does he say? The Honorable Holstein, apparently, is how he prefers to be addressed.
I didn't realize there was a lawman on the
ship. Yeah. Though, from what I've heard, the Honorable is not, well, a particularly accurate nickname for the man, but who am I to make such claims?
That's good to know. Well, I just wanted to check in on you, Miss Paladin. It seems like you were all right.
That's so very kind. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And it's around this time you do hear
a time last night, so
you hear a ding 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 ding, like what you know is like a dinner bell, like ringing.
There's that bell you were waiting for.
Oh, well, how do I look?
Wonderful.
And she, shall we go?
And she looks at her, she's like, oh, I suppose. Nah,
And she
don't
goes to
have need
leave.
to change it to, so sure.
She goes to leave, and then, oh, I almost forgot. And then she turns around, she goes over, you see as you're watching with the door like open, she goes over to her nightstand and she's like shuffling around, and you can see she pulls out like her deck of tarot cards and stuff. And then she's coming back out and closing her cabinet door. Well, maybe we can lighten some spirits tonight. And then she starts to head in a direction down a deck. Okay. Is anybody looking to do anything before dinner? Is there anything in particular? Any tasks that you wanted to do? Okay. And
Just get dressed and ready.
obviously you can change. That's not an issue. No issues whatsoever. If you want to change, you more than welcome to go do it. You don't all have to be at the dining car at the same time. Okay. So, eventually, the day passed because you guys were very busy. Like, you guys were going around the boat. You were checking in on this, investigating that, having this conversation, that conversation. So, literally moving around the boat to check in and find people. Most people were either in their quarters or easily found, but there was a couple others that, like, they were strolling around, so it was harder to track down. And all that took a little time. Time has passed. And eventually you all hear the dinner bell ring, and bit by bit, everybody starts making their way out from their various cabins, through the halls, down to the dining hall on deck 2. So again, deck 3 is where everyone stays. Deck 1 is where all the crew is, but deck 3 is where passengers are. And you work your way down. And when you come inside, you see the familiar dining hall. It looks beautiful, well set up with its circular tables, and you can see the big crystal chandelier above with the globes. They're on kind of dim. There's still a little bit of light coming in from the windows, but not much. It's actually very dim outside. It has the feel of like an overcast day with like a thunderstorm, kind of blocking out much of the sun. But you notice that in the corner there is a tuxedo-wearing waiter, as all the servers and people who are working within the dining hall are dressed. Anybody who is working directly with passengers is dressed very, very finely. It's only the folks that might be working in the engine room or something like that who aren't usually bedecked in some fashion. But you see there's a young man in the corner. You remember him from the night before. He was kind of playing a guitar in the background while the woman was singing. Whose name I have completely forgotten. Molly Cordes was singing, the blonde, curly-haired woman. But you see him now. He's got this big cello between his legs, and he is very elegantly just kind of drawing the bow across the strings. And you can see that folks are beginning to sit down, and all of them. There's sort of like a reticence. Like, you can tell the feeling in the room is a little bit dimmer than the night before. Like, everyone's not as jovial with one another. Like, there's still a few folks here and there that are talking, especially Sybil. Lana, when you come in, you can see she's going around. She's making the rounds. She's talking to people, checking in on them, promising to like do a reading for them later. But you definitely see like there's a little less engagement. The captain and the first mate are still here. They have their table, but you also see that like when people sit down, they're sitting like far from one another as opposed to like socializing together. So there's definitely like a vibe that's happening. Do any of you look to sit with a particular person, or do any of you have specific things you look to do when you first enter into the hall? Anything like that?
When Dora enters the hall, she'll meet up with Petra, because she did food tasting the last time, and
Okay.
she'll let her know, hey, when I was watching him in his rooms, he got into his wines, and it was like there was crude oil in there, and then in my own canteen there was as well. So we're afraid there was an attempt at poisoning. So I don't know if you
can say this is actually a broader group conversation, because I would have really liked to have shared, like, I got some samples from the liver. Okay.
But so that's a concern for this evening.
It turned into not. I got a sample from the river because I thought that's where it would be only, but drinks on the ship are turning to that.
Yeah, and then honestly, so silly. There was oil coming out from behind a painting. There was like a smear of it, and it was floating up towards the ceiling. Really
Up?
weird. I punched it.
It was floating up towards the ceiling.
Yeah, totally unnatural. Punching it did not stop it, unfortunately. So maybe Petra, maybe this is more your domain.
I have no thoughts yet at this point. It appears to be oil. I have no explanation at this point as to how exactly it's happening. The water in the river turning to oil would make more sense if it were a spill or something like that, but to be in a closed canteen and have gone from water to oil.
Well, it wasn't like full oil, but it had like a sheen to it. And it made him choke when he drank it.
Tall woman. Do you
Yes.
really think this is dinner conversation? As he's like standing like right next to you, like waiting for you to pull his chair out so he can sit down.
Sure, you're right. And she'll pull his chair out. Where do you want me seated? Here with you or elsewhere?
You can stand right there.
Sure.
I think that would give you a better view of all the potential candidates for my assassination. Yes?
That is true.
Very good. Now, fetch me my meal.
Yes, I will be right on that. And as she
Who
did,
are you?
This is a
You're a
new
taster.
hire.
A new
I taste
hire.
the food before you eat it.
You took initiative. Excellent. I like to see that
Yeah.
in middle management. Yes, new hire.
And-
Go.
Petra will turn to Dora. Yes, ma'am. I will go taste. Thank you for your instructions.
and Dora's like standing like behind him, right? So he can't see her, and you guys can just see her face. Like it's like a long suffering look is on her face as she just stands here.
Elena
As, like-
just claps both of them on the. Okay, looks like you guys got this, and she leaves,
So like
looking through it.
as Petra walks away, like Cass like turns up to you, Dora, and he's like, "It's very intelligent getting someone expendable to do the tasting. Should she die, no one would miss her. Very shrewd. Very shrewd."
And she's got medical, training, so she should be able to taste poisons.
What does medical training have to do with eating? Don't be foolish.
That's why you're the big books.
Did you just say I'm the big books?
Dollars. You make the big dollars.
Ah, yes. Money. Yes, I do indeed.
Yes.
So we watch as Petra goes into the kitchen. God damn. And we see the big Irish red-haired
Love her.
cook you come in. God dang it. See if I can do this. It's like, oh, look who's coming back again this evening. Oh, you're looking to get a wee bit of a taste again for your big fella out there. I can assure you everything tastes just fine. I've tasted it myself and I look okay, don't I? And she looks fine.
You do. I just. Well,
There's no potatoes tonight. We ate them all last night. Everyone was eating potatoes. What's wrong with you folk? Oh my
But
goodness.
they were quite delicious. Why would we
Of
not
course they
scrape
were
every last
delicious.
bit
I've
of
made
potato
them.
soup?
Oh,
Indeed.
tonight we're... Well, tonight we have a beautiful roast beef, as well as a few roast beefs, in fact, and some beautiful pickled root vegetables. Do you like beets?
Oh, Yes, of course I do. And she does not, but she's not going to say that she doesn't. Of course.
Well, since your man is apparently too good to be served by one of my folk, his plate's over there, ready to go.
Yes, thank you. I'm sure this will be absolutely wonderful. I heard the captain speaking this up very much earlier.
Oh, the captain was talking nice things about us. Did you hear that, lads and lasses? He was talking nice things about us for once. And everyone's like, yeah, the captain's all right. It's like, oh, yeah, captain's not too bad. It's that first mate. He's a real son of a bitch, that one. Oh, I don't like him at all. Anyhow, get out of my kitchen.
Yes, and she'll take some beets, and she turns around when she eats the beets because she despises beets, but she will like put that in and then follow it with some meat and do all of the tasting and give it some time. Just absolutely wonderful. Just
Does she die?
Well, as you turn to walk out, you're chewing and such, and you say everything's absolutely wonderful. You push the door back open. You're back in the dining hall now. You actually feel like as you're chewing, something wiggling in your mouth. You feel this like you're moving the food around, but then it seems to be moving on its own accord as well, as it's just wiggling and wiggling and wiggling. What would you like to do, Petra? How do you react to that feeling?
Yeah, so she's going to turn back into the kitchen and just like spit this out onto the floor.
As you spit out onto the floor, you see on the ground where you just spit, there is a wiggling, squirming, what looks like a small fish. It's about maybe a finger length, maybe 3 inches or so. And like there's a chunk of it missing from where you bit into it, but it's still moving and moving and moving. And there's like the bit of beet and stuff as well. So it actually looks like almost like this purplish blood that it's sort of flopping around into. And as you spit onto it, what the hell is wrong with you? Are you daft? You don't spit on the floor of a kitchen. There's a railing. Go spit off the railing. What?
Look, it's moving.
Well, what do you want me to do about it? We didn't put fish in your food. If you want that, that is your own condiment. Most folk put spices or salt or pepper or hot sauce. If you want to put living fish, who am I to tell you not to? Oh, but I didn't put it in it. That's for sure. We're not having fish tonight. I don't care what's coming out of your mouth. I didn't put it in there. You're the one who put it in there. You fool.
You just watched me put the food from the plate into my mouth.
I don't know what was in your mouth before you put the food in there. Now, you could be playing a joke on me. Or are you trying to make... The captain just gave us a compliment. Or are you trying to rain on it now? Is that what you're saying? You're going to take this to the captain? Or are you going to say, oh, the cook don't know how to cook? Oh, is that what you're trying? Oh, you're playing some foul games here, young lady. I don't like it. Now pick up after their mess.
I am going to take another bite and see if there is fish in it.
Take a bite. Tastes like meat. Everything's fine.
And she's going to like step halfway through the doorway and keep chewing and see if anything changes, because like it was fine in here and then it wasn't fine over there. So she's like chewing and then like steps a little bit to the side and then keeps chewing on like the other side of the door.
I'm gonna throw you overboard if you open the door once more. Get the hell out of my kitchen. I've got people to serve.
And she keeps chewing and there isn't a fish. So she's satisfied, and she wouldn't feel horrible if like rich dude had some fish in his food anyway. So she's gonna deliver the plate to him.
Okay. You set it down. He looks up at Dora, waiting for Dora's nod. And then he starts eating. Lullaby, where did you take a seat, you think?
I would join tables and have small chat with them, see if anybody can understand the phrase I heard earlier this evening.
Oh, Okay. Sure. Let's see. Let me just. And you don't know specifically who. You're just going to kind of like just ask around.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll say you sit down at a table with Sybil and with the judge, Judge Holston. As the two of them are at one of these circular tables here. There's plenty of seats around it. And as you read it out, the judge kind of looks at you with an eyebrow cocked, and he says, "Now, young man, in what context was this phrase conveyed to you?"
The spirit spoke to me. I sensed it from the air.
The spirits? You mean brandy, whiskey, that sort of thing?
No, the liquids did not talk to me.
I see. So, those spirits. Well, I do have a bit of an understanding of certain languages, of course, but that one right there sounds a bit. Understand now your pronunciation and perhaps maybe what you're able to glean from the spirits. There might have been some translational error, but sounds as though you seem to be talking about a sacrifice and apparently two essential things or ingredients or some such.
Sacrifice, I'm familiar.
Are you now?
With animals, though.
You sacrifice animals?
Yes, they offer their lives for us to live.
Oh, so you're talking about like farming and butchery and such?
Yes, very much.
I see. That's I suppose, yes, I guess you can interpret that as a sacrifice. Okay. Now, why exactly are you asking about this phrase here? In what context did the spirits convey this message to you?
Earlier this evening, a head count, I was checking on the passengers.
I see.
And I heard it in the halls.
And you're sure it wasn't just a strange bouncing of noises off of the various panels of wood throughout the halls?
I did see no one around.
Well, these old ships like this, sounds can carry in all sorts of strange ways. Well, all sorts of strange things can happen while out on the waters. He kind of leans across the table. See that tall woman over there? She punched a hole in my chamber today. For no particular reason.
So I did. She is good at punching.
I imagine she is, but I would very much not like to have a hole in my chambers.
We can have the crew fix it.
Oh, I'm sure we can. I'm just simply saying, sometimes when you're on the water for an extended period of time, your senses can play tricks on you. So maybe you heard this thing, maybe you didn't. And maybe if you did hear it, it's simply because, well, there was someone around somewhere that was talking and it just happened to bounce off the walls and find its way right to your ears.
If someone spoke this, are you familiar with the language?
Well, I'm familiar because of my profession. We are trained to study various antique languages and such, yeah.
Is there anybody on board that you know would speak it?
Well, not as of yet. I have not. I don't much care to investigate, but I imagine there might be one or two. You never know. There was a library down in the lounge, has plenty of books. Might be someone down there who is particularly well read, who might have a knowledge of one tongue or another. Does that make it a crime in your estimation, sir?
Not at all. You're very educated. But dinner is
Oh,
coming.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And you can see like Sybil has been like watching this whole time. She's kind of looking up at you. And she's just like, you are a very curious man. Very curious. You said your name was Lullaby? Is that right?
Yes, Lullaby.
That's a very curious name. How did you come by that? Did your mother and father provide that?
Oh, when I was born, as a baby, I would cry myself to sleep. And I became known as Lullaby.
Oh, that's very tragic. That's very tragic indeed. Do you still have trouble sleeping?
No, I could sleep well.
Ah, well, I'm glad you've grown out of such an affliction. Now, you said you are a man who is willing to communicate with the spirits, is that right?
Yes, I converse with them regularly.
Well, isn't that interesting? I do as well. It's so wonderful to meet a person of like minds. Would you care to communicate with them right now? And she like pulls out like this deck, this tarot card deck. I would be most willing to see what they have to say, and maybe we can learn something additional about this this whispering that you heard today.
Certainly, I would like to speak with them in this dinner room.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And like she starts to move some of the placemats and stuff like that. Anyone who wants to be near is welcome to. And she gets her deck out and she kind of, does whatever proper shuffling it does, and then she puts it in front of you. And now just go ahead and just clear your mind, or if you want, think carefully about the voice or whatever, or maybe about your childhood, and we'll just see where the divination takes us. How's that sound?
Sounds wonderful. And then I cycle the phrase in my head, but every time I take a bite and beat, that thought takes over. Then I remember to remind myself to repeat the phrase.
So the first card gets drawn, and it's the world card. And she's like, oh, well, this one's quite easy now, isn't it? Generally, this could mean a few different things depending on the context, but all of it involves some form of a journey. And what better representation of it than this vessel? We're all on a journey on this divine comedy up the river. So, it seems as though it's time for card 2. Are you ready, sir?
Yes, bring it on.
So she pulls out the next one, and you can see like written on the bottom, it says the High Priestess, and she sets it down right next to the world card, and she says, well, this usually represents truth, or perhaps a guide to navigate towards the truth. And you can see her face kind of goes a little sort of downshifts a bit, and you can see her forehead crinkled underneath like the veil black, and she looks down at it as if she's very confused. Well,
I am confused as well. This lady's head is on backwards.
I agree. That seems very peculiar. That doesn't seem right. Someone must have been fiddling with my cards, I suppose. And anyhow, and you can tell she's a little bit rattled by it. But let me turn the final card over, and she turns the next one over, and you can see it's the Magician, and it's upside down. And you can see her concern continues a little bit. Well, oh dear, this one, this represents the weird, or trickery, or realities shifting, overlapping one another, inversion, reversion. Oh, And then she reaches her hand out and she touches her card, the High Priestess card. Oh, well, that's a little concerning. I don't much care for that. Let me try again. And she kind of pulls the kind of cards back together, and you can see she shuffles up again. She's like, must be some sort. Again, think carefully about whatever it is that you want to divine. But you can tell she's like, her hands kind of shake. She reaches out. She gets like a sip of wine to settle her nerves a bit. Kind of makes a weird face, and then she goes through it again, and it's the world once more. The High Priestess with the head backwards. The upside down magician. This is most peculiar. One more time, and she pulls the cards back and shuffles them up, and she kind of like goes through them even quicker now, and it's the same 3 cards. Boom, boom, boom. Oh goodness. Oh my. Who here has been messing with my cards? Which one of y'all? And she kind of gets a little upset, and she's standing up now, kind of shouting at everybody, and like people are just telling her to just sit down, be quiet. No, I mean it. This is very upsetting. What kind of man goes into a woman's quarters and messes with her dearest possessions? What's wrong with all of you? What is wrong with all? And you can see she's kind of starting to get a little bit hysterical.
Now, calm down. What is the meaning of this?
Well, the meaning of this is that someone is having a bit of fun with me. That's what it seems, because I don't much care for what these cards are trying to say, is what it means, sir. And she reaches out and she takes a sip of the wine again and then immediately spits it. And you see the stream of like dark wine go across the table and land on top of the white tablecloth, the circular table, and you can just see like this, it's almost more black than red. What is this? And then you start hearing like this rapid fire of people spitting and coughing as one by one they're all, what's the meaning of this? Why this isn't wine. Oh goodness gracious. And all of them, one after the other, like spit or cough or begin to vomit here or there. And you see on each one of these beautiful tablecloths, these big welts of like black stains of what should be wine, but instead seems to be more like oil. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to call it there for tonight. And we will pick up on that moment next time around. All right?
Oh, good. Gosh.
I dropped a picture of the High Priestess card because one of the pieces we have the art of. So I dropped that on the screen so you can see it. It looks awesome. I love tarot cards. They're so cool.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. I have one from Impossible Landscapes. That's awesome. It's got all this like king and yellow imagery and stuff. All right. I guess I should put the handout thing away and bring Steven back on the stream. There we go. There he is. Option. There he is. All right.
Well, that's much less pretty.
What? Steven, I need you to turn your head around. All right. So that is session 2. We should be able to get this in next week. If not, maybe we'll go forth. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But that is session 2. We will pick this up again next week. We will see the strangeness that is beginning to grow in intensity and see what's all happening. I'm sure it's fine. We having fun? We liking it? We enjoying it?
I'm loving this.
Yeah,
slow
awesome.
burn. You're killing
so
it.
good.
Awesome.
So
Except for the eating meat and having fish in my mouth.
That's what you get for being sassy towards an Irish cook with red hair. Are you out of your mind? You are taking your life into your hands every time you walk into that kitchen and complain. You're nuts. All right. Let's go ahead
on the floor. My goodness.
I know. That's the worst thing you could do. Are you kidding me? Spitting up food in a kitchen. Melissa never worked in a kitchen. Anyhow,
No.
let's do some close books. So let's start actually with Steven. Steven, tell us more about where we can find out more information about Huckleberry. Tell us where we could buy it. Tell us where we can win it. Like what tell us everything, Steve.
There's so much to tell. If you want more information, go to huckleberryrpg.com. It's got all the links on there. If you want to read the I've done Q&As and interviews recently, and there have been reviews that come out. Follow us on socials. All the links are on huckleberryrpg.com. And you can learn a lot more about the game. You're seeing it firsthand here, which is obviously the best way to get a feel for it. But if it helps you to be able to read through text faster, things like that, those are great ways to do that. The game is available now on drivethrurpg.com. Again, links on huckleberryrpg.com. And it's in early access, so it's going to be receiving a lot of updates. Everyone who grabs the PDF will receive every single update. So you can get this scenario will be bundled in. There will be additional chapters, especially a lot of expansions for GM tools and like ways to create your own bounties, your own scenarios, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot planned, a lot coming up. This is only the beginning. Jeff, thank you so much for running this. You really are killing it. It's amazing. And we're giving away more copies. If you want to join the Discord, the Adventures in Lollygagging Discord, you can go to the giveaway channel, and all you have to do is talk in there, and you'll be able to be entered to win digital copies. Next week, as we're playing Huckleberry again, we will be giving away another physical copy. So make sure to check it out live and get another chance to win. Congratulations to Kailania for winning. I will get that shipped to you rather quickly. I'll get it out in the next day or two. I've got your information. Yeah, so that's it. I'm excited. You guys are killing it. It's been so much fun to watch.
Awesome.
I feel like a proud parent.
Aw, that's nice. So you are
my little baby is blossoming and taking off.
He's the same age as Vincent Price. He's 70 something. He's our 10.
Oh, I feel like a proud grandparent.
Fantastic. All right, Maitreya, let's check in with you. Where can we find you on the internet?
I am Multiplays Games on YouTube, where I make system agnostic or multi-system content that centers the dream and play experience in tip-flops that you should check out if you want to check that kind of thing out.
Fantastic. Links are in the description. If you're listening to this or watching this later, either through the podcast or through our YouTube channel, check the show notes and stuff. You'll have links to everything, links to the Huckleberry stuff, links to Maitreya's channel, all that good thing, all that good stuff. As for the rest of it, what do we got next? Next game for us is Monday, where you can see a few of us playing through Ragtag. Our friends over at Design Ministries, who are the people who make all the Frag games, Frag Empire, which we've been streaming for the last few months. They have come out with a new rules light version, same weird sci-fi setting, but with like lighter rules, like Morkbork style, OSR style rules. So we've been giving that a run while it's on BackerKit. Come back on Monday, see our finale of our little one shot. Tuesday, you can see Melissa and myself playing as crew in Star Trek, where a familiar face is in the GM seat, as Steven's going to be running us through Star Trek Adventures, this new second edition from Modiphius. Lots of fun in that game. So geeked out for that one. And then Thursday, we're back to Simbaroom, if you like your dark fantasy. Friday next week, we got Delta Green, where you can see this entire crew playing some Delta Green. And then we'll be back on Saturday with more Huckleberry. If that's it, I think I can't think of anything else to say. So let's go ahead and raid somebody. We're going to raid our friends over at Lost Caravan RPG. They're playing some Fabula Ultima game that has been on my radar because it's very like Final Fantasy-ish. So let's go ahead and give them a raid. Have a great rest of your weekend. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching this. If you're watching this later. And that's it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye.